time, but like in his career.
I remember he looked at him and pretty much told him, "Look, me and you, we're done." Oh, didn't notice you there.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to the Rantcast, the new and improved Rantcast. I'm your host, Josh, also known as the Strange Bus. I'm here with my esteemed co-host, Bergen, also known as HeroQuest Fans, and you can find him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest. That's twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. We've got a special episode of the Rantcast here for you today, and it's going to be pretty good. We're going to start off, like we always do, with the HeroQuest Power Hour. Next up, we're going to be talking a little bit about Ubisoft, because they're in the spotlight today. Actually, they've been in the spotlight for like the last week. And then we're going to keep going on with some other Star Wars topics. We'll be talking about The Mandalorian a little bit, as they have an upcoming season, season 3. And then I'm going to be reading an excerpt, if I can even reach it, from the chronology, because I'm a nerd.
On the Rantcast.
On the Rantcast. All right, so just to kind of start us off, we're going to make sure volumes are okay, everything okay, kind of in general. And then I'm going to have Kurgan take us off here. So whenever you're ready, Kurgan, go ahead, and we'll kind of begin.
On the Rantcast. All right.
Hey, nice beard.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you grow it out for a while. Pandemic and all that stuff. Pandemic Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So HeroQuest is number one, right? First topic. So we've talked about this a lot, and Amalgamash, I think it was, he did a video and calling us out specifically. No, I'm kidding. He wasn't calling us out, but he was talking about some of the stuff that we've been seeing. We have at least one insider who's outed himself on HeroQuest Fans Discord, and there may be other spies, in there. And basically, they have been kind of schooling us on. Let me fix my mic here. They've been schooling us on some of the industry stuff. Yeah, sorry. Let me just fix myself here. Yeah, they've been schooling us on some of the industry stuff. When you're developing a game, you've got your day one patch stuff, and can't really see what I'm doing.
Are you losing your hair?
Yeah, I am. I kind of am here. Just
and then all of a sudden, his face came off.
Took his face right off. All right, I'll just kind of hold that there. Sorry.
While you're adjusting your beard.
Actually, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll take this time here to kind of give a quick shout out to Karl Casey from White Bat Audio. So he kind of supplies the no copyright music. I mean, he's not directly supplying it, but just requiring us to give credits to him for the music that I use at the beginning. So link is in the chat. If this does get put on YouTube, it'll be in the description here. Credit does go to Karl Casey, and that's at White Bat Audio. So if you want to check out the music that I have at the beginning or in the BRB or at the end, that's the music I'm using currently for now, until I can get a proper intro set up. And I do want to thank White Bat Audio for allowing us to use that music for our projects at the moment. Thank you very much. Currently, like Kurgan was mentioning, we had Amalgamash talking about HeroQuest. A lot of HeroQuest stuff being brought up currently at the moment. Oh, and he's back.
Yeah, and he was talking a lot of trash. No, I'm kidding. No, it was a very thoughtful video. I really thought that he did a very fair presentation of the situation. So, as fans, we share, our likes and dislikes about stuff. We're not being haters. We're not being fanboys. We're just talking about, the facts. It's like, here's what I would like to see in a game. And when you've got an industry insider, presenting themselves and saying like, okay, well, I want your feedback. Like, people are going to be honest and they're going to share it. And as somebody who's in the know, he's going to know what's possible and what isn't. If we just say something and it's just like, nope, there's no way that can happen. Well, if he just says, no, there's no way that's going to happen, he's going to look like, he's just being rude or whatever, like not caring. But what he's trying to do is say, okay, the reason why we didn't do that is because there's all these extra costs involved. There's this time frame because, you're developing a physical board game. So you can't just make changes quickly on the fly. And it's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. So I think that's helpful to hear that, because as a developer, or just as someone representing a company, like, you're not going to please everybody, but you still want to communicate, and you want to do it in a diplomatic way. You still want to stick up for yourself, if you feel like people are being unfair, but, you're going to present it and say, well, there's like this time window when we can do stuff. And then after that, it has to be like digital. So like with the Frozen Horror, they had to release a digital supplement, which then people could go online to get to see like the revisions and stuff without them having to like, jam an insert into the box and like rip the tape off and like cram more stuff in there and be like, okay. Cause I know as a game fan, and I'm sure you can, sympathize here, decades ago, I remember people complaining like, oh man, games these days, they suck. You have these day one patches. You buy the game, you put the disc into your machine and already it doesn't work. There's already an update and you got to get the patch or you can't even play it. It's already broken. But that's a video game. That's at least where you have digital content that you can just, send out right away to your customers. The first time they try to get online, there's a patch. Whereas with a board game, it's like, who knows, they're reading the book and there's this misprint there and like, what? What does this mean? And so then they go online. It's like, oh, okay. They, there's an explanation. So I can understand that. So I guess I can see Amalgamash's point of view. And I think he's being very fair. He's always very diplomatic and fair. And that's not against him. I think it's a very nice thing to do. I tend to be a little more critical. But I think we both have the same kind of perspective, which is that, we want the game to be good because we're fans of it. And, they're being nice enough to like actually communicate with us. They're not just sitting off in the distance going like, well, here's our product. If you don't like it, screw you. It's like, no, we want to solicit feedback, but realizing that, hey, the product's already done, and we're pretty much going to be moving on to the next one, but still that feedback, comes through. And I think one of the early criticisms for HeroQuest was that they were so secretive. I mean, on the one hand, it was cool because it's like, oh, surprises are coming, just watch out for this. And so there was all this speculation. But then there was also people wondering, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to change everything and make everybody angry? Like with so many other franchises, you get these changes that are supposed to like draw in more people, but they end up alienating more people from the old community and dividing it. So a lot of people were worried about that. But then when it finally comes out, it's like, oh, it was okay. Pretty much we were worried for nothing. But then there was a lot of wondering like, well, why weren't they more open with us? So I think some of that we're seeing now, like in the HeroQuest fans Discord and maybe other places, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you get fans, you have those plants who are like listening to what we're saying and then kind of jumping in and giving a little clarification or just soliciting feedback. Like I remember when the Mythic Tier came out, and a lot of people were mad because they didn't get a chance to really get in on it. They would have if they could have, but you had somebody pointing out, well, you forgot a door in this one quest. Like there should be a door here and there's no door. Well, the author actually came on to like yield in and he's like, yep, it should be right here. And he just like drew it on there. So people were like, okay, great. Well, that's nice. I mean,
thanks.
You admitted you made a mistake. You gave the correction. Like, thanks for the correction. Like that's a cool thing to do, just to interact with your customers that way. because you're trying to make money. So it's kind of like people make criticism of your art, and maybe you don't want to admit it, but it's the humble thing to do.
Right.
It builds that respect. It builds that rapport, and yeah, it increases the loyalty of your fan base. So I like it, and I think he had a lot of good things to say in that video. So, and he shouted us out, which is always nice. So definitely check out Amalgamash on YouTube.
And once again, thank you for giving us the shout out.
Very, very nice of you, and you're always welcome. And he and I have a quest going, so we still need to finish that. But he has a little different schedule than we do, so just kind of do it whenever we can. But yeah, I'm pleased with the direction HeroQuest is going so far. And I think I placed a lot of emphasis on like how this next release is going to go. It's like HeroQuest is, slowly coming back, and it could reach, the popularity it once had, 30 years ago. But it's like each new release is kind of, in my opinion, I don't know how it really is behind the scenes, like the numbers, but it's like each release is like make or break. Are they going to succeed? Like, okay, if it's a success, here comes the next one. And we got Gen Con coming up, and our guy is saying like, yeah, there's going to be all this stuff happening, but he can't really say. There's a lot of speculation. So I had this thought, and I'm just going to throw it out there. And this is not me trying to copy anybody else, but maybe someone else has already thought of this. So I've always wondered what it would be like if Games Workshop and Hasbro got back together again, just for a temporary collaboration in the world of HeroQuest. And some people would really be happy about that. Some people would be really angry if they did that. Like, oh no, it's going to all change. But there was a product in 1989 called Advanced HeroQuest. And it was a modular dungeon, kind of more like, I guess, some other type of dungeon crawling games at the time. It wasn't like HeroQuest, which was a board game for just people who had no experience playing tabletop fantasy or RPGs at all. So Advanced HeroQuest was much more like other types of games where you paint the figures and you do the role-playing mechanics. But in the manual, which is I think 3.5 times longer than the HeroQuest manual, they provide rules for taking the HeroQuest assets and using it in their game. So you could take the game that you already had and add on to it. And so a decade later, they released something called Warhammer Quest, which was the same idea, which was you can play just a plain old board game. Simple, easy, anybody can do it. You could be, 8 years old and you could still have a good time. But then you can also take the role-playing complexity and add it in there using the same pieces and expand the game. And I thought, well, what if they did something like that? I don't know what they would call it, but they could take that Advanced HeroQuest or Warhammer Quest template, incorporate the Hasbro stuff they've already got, but then still get maybe some of those other miniatures in, kind of bring in some of those other fans and just have a collaboration. And it could just be that one product, just like they had the Warhammer 40K Risk. I mean, that was Hasbro and Games Workshop.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they'll really do. I mean, a lot of us are just hoping that they'll take all the other expansions from the past and remake everything, and then in between have little smaller releases where they have new things. But it's at a certain point, I mean, they're not just going to release stuff forever. There's going to be a new release every year. There's a new one. It'll start to become stale. People who are just getting into it will be like, whoa, I have to buy all this stuff. It's no, the point of HeroQuest is you make it up yourself. This is just fodder for inspiration, But I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, there are parts I agree with and parts that I think that, I don't know. Like I said, my input is still relatively fresh,
but it's good input because it's not just the old fans; it's also people who maybe are interested. What is this? I want to check it out.
My stuff still lands on a business standpoint because I'd rather get to know something more before I give an expert opinion on it.
Yeah,
because like you're saying, you were talking about the expansions, and I'm like, well. For me, I feel like a lot of those expansions, they have a point being sold. Now, granted, you don't have to have them. that if somebody were to walk up to me and be like, "Man, I have to buy all this stuff," I'd be like, "No, you spend the $100+ and get the game system, and that should keep you well off to get the game, under your belt, be able to learn the game, get the, find a group that you can play with, all that stuff, and you'd be okay. And then you could start investing in other parts of the game. And then while you're doing that, like you said before, get yourself invested, make up some rules, have fun. But the big thing here is, there are big parts of, like I said, with Amalgamash, there are big parts that I very much agree with, and then there are some that that we're kind of on the fence about, and not that I fully disagree at all, because he makes a lot of good, strong points, and it's like more I agree with than disagree. So man, I wish I had brought that fire to the Rankcast.
Well,
because that's a
spicy points.
Yeah, those were some good.
He and I have gone back and forth on the Discord, and I really enjoy it because it's just like I'll make some point, and he's like, "Nope, it's this other thing." And we're like, "Nope," and we're just back and forth, and it's just like so much time goes by, and it's like, wow, we had this long conversation, and of course everybody's watching it, so it's like, okay, well, what do other people think? It's like, okay, these two guys just like threw down on some topic.
Yeah, and that's it.
But it's passion. It's not like, oh, there's only one opinion in this community,
Right, and that's the big thing about, at least from what I can see, because I pop in and out of the HeroQuest fans Discord every now and then. Even being a moderator, it's hard because I've got so much going on at one point. So I'll pop in and out, and I don't much talk. I just pop in and I see what's going on, and man, it is active.
Yeah,
it is an active community,
and it's not just active when I'm there. As if like I'll just show up and it's like, oh, I just stepped into the middle of somebody's huge project or something. It's like, it's awesome because I mean, I'll admit my ulterior motive, my bias, my whatever was I want to play HeroQuest with people, so I want to gather people together and play with them, And so much of HeroQuest is like individually driven, so it's like, okay, well. Yeah, I'm going to paint my stuff, and you're going to show me your techniques so that I can use that in my thing or put my little spin on your house rules. It's not necessarily, one size fits all. Yeah.
Your mustache is falling.
I just need to fix my face. Yeah.
It's a big and active community, and most of the times when I walk in there, it's most of the time it's respectful. It's just people giving their take on HeroQuest. And you'll get the occasional person who's like, "Hey, it's my way or the highway," or it's well,
we're not blowing up at each other.
Yeah, or it's we're sticking. I'm sticking to the rules. That's my way, and I'm keeping to it. That's fine. Like I said, it's the big point is, and it's a rule that I like to keep here on the Rantcast, and that's you are always valued to your opinion. As long as you don't live and die by your opinion. Because at the end of the day, other people have their opinions too. And it's when we, let's keep it to the topic, right? So we're talking about HeroQuest, a board game. At the end of the day, you're going to go home and there are going to be other things in your life that are HeroQuest and non-HeroQuest related. So let's not live and die by our opinions.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It goes the same with any other things in the Rantcast as well. And like I said, I don't mean to trail off or anything, but it's like I said, we welcome anybody's input on everything. So
come in and contradict us.
Yes, challenge us.
Try it. See what happens.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well. And I, I've had people talk me out of my own opinion on there before. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm completely wrong. There was this one quest, I was playing it this certain way, and I'm like, well, it's obvious that it's this way. And someone else is like, no, if you look carefully, actually, this makes way more sense. It's like, oh, I could still say, yeah, I know I'm wrong, but I'm going to do it my way anyway. But at a certain point, I realized like, oh, they're right.
Because there are too many people who are sure of themselves, and if you've got somebody who has not only an opinion, but they've got knowledge behind it, and it leads into a fact, or they're able to sway you on something, and they're able to do it nicely and effectively, then to me, that's what we were originally meant to do, and like instead of using our fists and act like barbarians.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a nice knockdown, drag out argument, debate, whatever, and at the end, have a brewski or whatever, or just whatever. You still have that respect. So I think it can go that way. It's just that, yeah, if you're not open to hearing other opinions, it's like, what are you doing? You're just yelling off into space.
Well, at the end of the day, you can end up agreeing to disagree. And this, like I said, there are certain topics. I guess somebody told me about this. There are certain topics that you can and cannot, and I think yes, but in most of the times involving our podcast, that's not going to happen.
No.
So there's going to be times when they're just going to agree to disagree, and you move on. And like I said, people are people, and that's why we welcome you to challenge us.
Yeah.
Same thing here with vice versa with you guys. Is we bring up a lot of these points, we bring up a lot of these things that's going on in the gaming industry, in the world of Star Wars, because Star Wars is always a hot topic.
Oh yeah. Well, and one thing I wanted to say, jump in there. Yeah, it's like there's a certain sense that, I mean, there's some people like they're easy to find online. It's like their opinion on everything, just like everything is just always out there. But a lot of people, I think, are afraid of like being wrong, if that makes sense. Like they don't want to say what they think because they're like, oh, someone's going to shoot me down and they're going to know that I'm like ignorant or whatever. But it's like, until you actually say it, you don't know. Like you might say it and it's like, oh, actually you're right. Or someone is going to respond to it, but then that like adds, to what you're thinking. It's like, okay, now I've got something to think about in the background. So it doesn't just have to be like you're having a duel every time. Like you're fighting people. Like, someone's going to walk away the winner. It's more like you just get more information and then you come back later. It's like, okay, well, I still have my point of view, but I know about these other points that other people are thinking about.
There's like one thing being on stream has taught me is that somebody's always going to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Some people do it in an annoying way, but sometimes you like you can have a blind spot, like you wouldn't know that.
To refer to like a nicer way, like I said, I was watching somebody earlier this morning. I was on Princess's stream, and like I said, she's playing KOTOR 2, just like I am. And I was referring to the KOTOR remake because we were talking about that on our cast. We were referring to games that were coming out,
and isn't it called The Remake or something?
No, it's just KOTOR remake or whatever.
But it's like in the title, like officially.
I think so.
And we were like commenting like that's interesting.
And
but it's true.
I was referring to my other sources about how it's coming out next year, and she read my message and she was like, I don't know if it's coming out next year. I believe it's not coming out until like the next couple of years, or like 2025. And I was like, oh.
So you banned her, of course.
No. But the big thing is that like when we're looking at references of information, like I rechecked it out and it looks like they were talking about it being, they're estimating it to be. Now I expect a delay, of course, but like I could sworn I gotten my facts straight somewhere. But that's the big thing, is like if we're not double checking ourselves, the human mind is frail. And it's, the older you get, the worse it can be. So, and I've noticed that, I might have missed something. She could be right. She could be getting somewhere with that. So, and to me, it's a perfect example of how, my reference was correct. They're estimating it to be next year in March, April, May. But it's, to me, they don't look like they have a definitive date yet.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you reference Google a lot, though, too.
Yeah.
Like,
stuff gets spread around. It may or may not
sources
be correct.
That tell you one thing. And...
yeah, and I know in a lot of aspects of stuff that I look at, like people will just say, "Well, I read it somewhere. I heard it somewhere." You don't remember where. Like, but I find myself doing the same thing sometimes. It's just like, well, I know I read that somewhere, and then I'll have to like redo the research to find out where I read it. And it's like, oh,
hey,
wait a minute, that was an unreliable source.
Polsky, welcome. And also welcome to Ministeritz if you're still in chat.
Welcome to the
I gave up on release date things until like a week before it's supposed to come out. Yeah, that I can understand that. That's mostly me. Like, even with the new KOTOR game that's coming out, the only reason I heard about it was somebody mentioned it to me and I got excited. So,
I'm glad you can see the chat because I can't.
I'll probably bring it up. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is how our setup is going to have to be for now.
Yeah. See, I need my screen over here so I can like look at the chat too.
I'll make sure I'll get like those like small hookups to like yeah. So you can have
all of an earpiece, but like, oh, I'm just getting in.
Wilson,
yeah,
right there.
So it's like, oh yeah, Polsky's coming in. He's saying, yeah, no, but welcome to the Rantcast. Thanks for checking us out. Yeah, so we're being all diplomatic and putting all these caveats and disclaimers, just in case you think we're a bunch of haters. We're not. We're trying to be fair, and we want you to challenge us. You know, if you hear something, I think a lot of people that visit us know that already, and feel free to just jump in. But in case, you saw a clip and think, oh man, these guys just don't listen to other opinions. Not true.
No, we may disagree with you.
But I could be wrong. And if that day ever comes, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we may disagree with you, but that doesn't mean we don't like you.
Yeah, there's still respect.
Yeah.
As long as you rate, comment, subscribe, follow.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, your channel's really grown. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
And we've been getting a ton of people on HeroQuest fans recently in the Discord.
Dude, your Discord is like wildfire.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Thanks, Amalgamash, if that was you. Somebody noticed us or recommended us. It's like, great.
I don't think I get like a couple new people in every once in a while.
Yeah, but it all adds up.
I'll hop into your Discord and there's like 20 new people in like every other day or week.
Yeah.
Like, I swear it went from 60 to 80 to 90 to 95 last time I checked, and then all of a sudden you're at like 150. I'm like, whoa.
Well, there's several other HeroQuest Discords that have been around longer than we have, and I keep forgetting what it's called, but the one that Azure always hangs out in, Azure Megid, the tabletop simulator one.
Yeah.
Their whole reason for existing is so that they can coordinate games on Tabletop Simulator. And I think that's awesome.
That is awesome.
And on ours, it's like we talk about stuff. So we've got like painting, we've got like a marketplace now where people can trade stuff. People just talking trash about, whatever. The Zargon GM channel, talking about, ways to kill the heroes and story ideas. And then the hero channel is like strategies and things and just nostalgia. People telling stories. But on Saturdays we have our live games, and so it's always like, okay, who wants to play? And if you don't want to be a hero, you can be in the chat and use your gold coins to buy stuff. But at the same time, that's me using my platform to play the game, but there's no reason why other people in there can't do the same thing.
That's okay, Polsky. We're just getting started. So
yeah, I mean, get together, and maybe people are doing that already and we're just not seeing it. They just DM each other and be like, hey, let's play a game. You got Tabletop Simulator, you got a webcam, you got whatever.
Indeed.
You in town, you want to come by? Because that's what they did on Ye Olde Inn. There was like a Saturday night dungeon kind of thing where people would just post and be like, okay, we'll be on Streamlabs at this time. Join us if you want. Or if you're in this city, pre-pandemic.
Right.
People are coming out of their hobbit homes and out of their caves now. So
I like my cave though.
Yeah, it's
I enjoy my cave.
It's comfortable.
It's very comforting.
Meditation pod. Speaking of meditation pods, Oh no, we've got other topics before that. Yeah. Yeah. But HeroQuest wise, I think so far, I think a lot will depend on what happens at Gen Con, which I won't be at, but I'm hoping the people that go there will tell us about it. Supposedly there's going to be a bunch of big announcements, and we don't know what they are, but they may involve new stuff that we don't know about yet, new potential projects on the horizon. See, I think we're behind. Like this, they've already got stuff planned. They're just waiting to tell us about it. So we'll hear that stuff, and then people can freak out and then speculate, and we'll repeat the whole process. But after that, who knows, right?
Welcome, Lord and Carmine.
Looks
like
speak of the guy.
Looks like Kurgan came out of the cave and failed to purchase a razor ahead of time.
Well, yeah. So we're gonna try to open a merch shop and have like RantCast branded like razors, RantCast razors, RantCast pillows, t-shirts, hats, mouse pads, socks, hoodies, do-rags, all that good stuff. All the stuff the kids, are buying these days. So I don't know, yeah. Good stuff.
Gandalf Kurgan.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of respect for Zargon and what he does, and in my view, evil Santa on the GM screen, that's Zargon to me. Even though it's supposed to be mentor.
I prefer Kurgan the Gray, yes.
Ah, yes. Yeah, Kurgan the White. Kurgan of many colors. Yep. So anyway, yeah, so the spies are everywhere. That's what Malgamash said, and I'm beginning to agree with him.
Yeah. Be careful where you look.
Yep. Yeah, it got really quiet and awkward all of a sudden. I'm just kidding. No, I think we've pretty much talked about HeroQuest as much as we were going to, unless you've heard anything new.
My final thought, like I said, I agree where Amalgamash is coming from, right?
Yeah.
You want a product. We're demanding a product.
Yeah.
They're attempting to give us a product. They're going to give us a product as efficiently as they can, whilst still making a profit. At the end of the day, that's point A to point B. My thing here, and like I said, it's always been a thing. It always will be a thing. Is that don't let the passion slip. Like a lot of passionate developers, artists, people have like lost their way. You've had a lot of big companies slip over stuff like this. And
I think that's where a lot of the anxiety initially was coming from. People were like, "Oh man, please not HeroQuest! Don't fail! Don't break it!"
Well, and the big thing is like I'm not. I know I come off harsh when I think of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The big thing is that for me, it's all about biding time. I wait for the product, and I don't even have the product in my hands yet, so I cannot give a definitive judgment until I have their product in my hands. Yeah. So I have at least from now until December is my deadline. I will have a HeroQuest game system, current one,
Santa Zargon,
in my house by then. But
nice. Then we'll have to get you hooked up with some homebrew, and it'll just be over from there.
It won't be out. It'll be locked up inside my house. Ships Kurgan a gift card to the local barber shop.
Nice. You think he's
also doing double glasses too. He's got the true hip trend going on.
Yeah, well, you just gotta like kind of chill in life.
Isn't there a far cut spell? Nice, Elviler.
Hey, Elviler. Welcome to the RantCast. Yeah.
But yeah, like
and the app, the companion app that I've been trashing all this time because it doesn't work. it works on my new computer. So if you have a good enough computer that can run BlueStacks with that hyper whatever, like all those like virtual settings, it'll run for you, even if you don't have a smart device.
Okay, this is where I disagree with you on a lot of things.
Okay.
You cannot make an official review on something when you're emulating it.
True, yeah.
And on top of it, you don't have a smartphone.
I don't have a smartphone.
And
well, no, my criticism was this, that they didn't make it a PC app.
Oh.
So I was complaining that it was not available. Not that, they should somehow make it within BlueStacks because that's out of their control. No, but the fact that it works now means that I can use it and I can like actually evaluate it, even though realizing, if there's a problem, it might be the emulator, not the huge, massive disclaimer. But yeah. No, I have used it on an actual mobile device before. It's like, hey, can I borrow your phone? You did it, download, play around with it. Okay, erase it. Here you go.
It was like with the
because I like to be Zargon, so it's more just the novelty.
It was like Tabletop Simulator. My only experience with you is you had that laptop.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that laptop can't run Tabletop Simulator. You trashed Tabletop Simulator.
No, it could run it. It's just that when I switched from Windows 7 to Windows 10, like it just wouldn't work. But the last patch from like last year, it worked. I just didn't know it because I wasn't like trying it out every day. And then I would have realized, it works pretty well. On my new PC, like I can turn like the layers on, so it has like prettier lighting, but it runs the same as it ever did. But yeah, but it actually runs. So
indeed.
But with a PC game like that, you're creating an indie game and you've got everybody's configuration in the world to try to work it out. So I can sympathize with an indie developer making a game, and you don't have tons of money to test on everything.
Windows equals your problem.
Everything is user error.
Yep.
Well, on the Steam community, to their credit, they've got the forums and very active threads on, users helping each other out. Like, okay, try these drivers, try installing this, try editing your registry to do this.
This can go after the ad because for about 5. I think I've got the ad timed right. It's about 1 hour. So, but
nice.
You say there's no better alternatives. Now, I will agree with you on the fact there's no better alternatives for the common user.
Alternatives for what? What is he saying?
Like the
companion app?
The natural consumer. Because he says there's no better alternatives other than Windows. And I'm pretty familiar with multiple forms of Linux, and I could give an original alternative. Although you would have to, it does mean you have to get more familiar with the Unix.
A lot of it is your patience. So this is why people play mobile games. This is why people play game consoles rather than PC games as much as they otherwise might. But yeah, with the companion app, you can use it on iOS or you can use it on Android OS. And yeah, if your computer's good enough, you can emulate it.
But I would to agree with you. Yes, Windows is everyone's problem. I wouldn't be on Windows 11 if there was a better alternative.
Yeah,
like a legit better alternative.
Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of people. Well, there's at least a few prominent people in our Discord community who would tell you all about Linux and
I can
coding and.
Yeah, I can make a Linux. There's a Linux OS that'll run better on this machine and make this machine way more effective. The only difference is there's a one-click installer that makes things a lot better other than Windows.
A good tie-in to this is the subject which we talked about I think we touched on it in a previous rantcast about. See, you're seeing ahead of the conversation. With games, with board games and role-playing games, HeroQuest. Is that when we were talking about the Frozen Horror and all the problems with it, with the original version, and Amalgamash made this point, and I agreed with him, which is to say, well, who cares if it's broken? You can just fix it yourself. And I made that point famously or infamously. You can look back at the conversation on Yield In, And I got so much crap from people. I got trashed up and down, like saying, "What do you mean? You want the most tight, balanced, play tested, you know, uh, commonsensical game possible as your core base. And if people want to just throw that aside and make their own game out of it, that's fine. But you don't release a broken game and then just expect the user to figure it out. Now, it's definitely easier to fix it with like a board game or a role playing game where it's the imagination versus a computer game where it's like, oh, just make your own patch. Okay, easier said than done. You got to learn the engine, you got to get the tools. It's or like with Windows, it's like, okay, we'll just learn to code and make your own program that's better than the one that doesn't work. So if this were like a video game developer, I think there'd be a lot more responsibility on their part, even realizing that, okay, they've got to conform to like all these different hardware configurations. If HeroQuest was just, well, like the companion app, it's on 2 platforms. So they just have to make sure that those 2 things work, and then that's it.
All right. With that, we have time.
Pay the bills on the TheRantCast.
With more Rentcast and right after this ad. So don't go away, guys. Alright, Lordy Carmine, you're in trouble. I missed something out of San Diego Comic-Con.
TheRantCast.
I was gonna be like, "Welcome back, everybody," and then I look over here and I'm like, "What?"
I'm missing San Diego Comic-Con.
I mean, there was gonna be Star Wars topics tonight.
Just like,
yeah, there was gonna be Star Wars topics tonight. Mandalorian. We're gonna be doing some talking about the Mandalorian, and then Andor stuff. But
well,
I'm like looking
it's
down
your show. If you'd rather talk about something else,
looking down the list here, I'm not seeing any news.
So San Diego Comic-Con, Gen Con. What are the other big conventions? Or those are the ones, aren't they?
Celebration. But...
yeah, Star Wars Celebration. I don't know.
Well, here, we'll take a look.
I mean, back in the day, it was E3. Like, oh, I can't wait for E3 when they have all the new video games coming out. And then when it's ups and downs. And...
We'll take a look. Anyway, welcome back, everybody.
To TheRantCast.
Yeah. TheRantCast grenade. Yeah, dude. Like, blew the whole thing up.
Hey, that's why we have a chat, right? So that you guys can interact.
Indeed. So, yes, welcome back. We are touching on a couple topics. I'm going to do...
but it's still Star Wars, right?
Research. Well, yeah, I'm going to do some research here. But first, we're going to touch on our non-Star Wars...
Oh, Ubisoft.
Topic. And this is a big one. This is one that kind of brings something home for me. And like I said, I got news on this one because this one was from earlier on in July. So I wanted to make sure we weren't stealing from anybody. But credit to there's lots of people who've reported on this. But this article comes from clutchpoints.com. Article done by Franz Christian Uroya. I believe I got that name right. But we were talking about how
it's a big one.
Ubisoft, excuse me, how Ubisoft's going to be removing access to DLC in multiple titles.
Okay, you go ahead and say what you're going to say because I got something to say about this too.
So yeah, hold up. We're going to do the whole thing here. So starting now, I'm just going to start with the article and then I'm going to kind of give my 2 cents. So players are no longer going to receive access to DLC and other online features of games like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, among others, in the near future. Brace yourself. Your access to downloadable content you may have purchased for older Ubisoft titles will soon become inaccessible. This is a part of Ubisoft's gradual decommissioning of online features of older Ubisoft titles. Decommissioning online features for these titles will remove multiplayer, linking accounts, online features, and access to DLC. Among the games affected is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and as compiled by PC Gamer, here's a complete list. You got Anno 2070, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 3, Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Liberation HD, which was a game released in 2014. So we're looking at, 8 years old? Driver San Francisco, Far Cry 3, Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, Silent Hunter 5, Space Junkies, and Splinter Cell Blacklist. The list includes a few notable classics. So if you own Far Cry 3 on any platform at the moment, you're going to have a hard time getting access to DLC if it's not already downloaded to your system.
And these are PCs or console games?
PC and console, most of them. Sure. So, yeah, but while we understand the rationale behind these acts, there's no point in keeping online servers for outdated games. But you're also losing more than just the online capability. While most of these titles have already died, their online capabilities have already died. They're just removing the DLC access as well. So they will make them permanently lost in time. So some of these games here actually have their DLC content actually has story in there. So it's extensions to your single player campaign. Gives you access to stuff that you bought, and that's going to be gone if it's not backed up, or if pirates don't already have it. Then it's gone. So the decommissioning will take place September 1st, 2022, and then online features of these games will be completely discontinued. Just letting people know right now, I have these Assassin's Creed games on PC. None of the online features work. So this is a complete target on.
So is the DLC gone yet, or they're saying it's going away?
It's going away. We'll
download your DLC right now.
Purchase all microtransactions associated with sea shanties.
Well, microtransactions can take a fly.
So I don't know, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now though. Brotherhood had a really decent amount of DLC. I bought my Brotherhood Special Edition. It's just right out of sight.
Yeah.
And I also own it on PC, and it's understandable. Not a lot of people are probably playing these games in droves right now, and that's fine. But this is why I don't really approve with off-disk content anymore, because it has to be offloaded to a server.
Right.
It costs money.
Because the company will say, we can't afford it anymore, guys. Don't you want new stuff? We got to make room for the new stuff.
And this is where I have
profitable.
This is where I bring the business and my loathing for certain businesses in, because
they created
it's a big thing because they did on-disc DLC, and then you had people who were ripping the DLC off the disc or something like that. So they decided to put DLC on servers, so they'd lock it behind a code. Or, they do anything but put it on the disc. And the problem with that is that if you don't have a physical copy of the game that has the DLC on the disc, or if you don't have a physical copy of the game for your PC, that I believe has a code. I don't even think that works anymore either.
It's ephemeral.
But
it's just...
it's gone.
You play the game for a couple of years, and then it's gone.
And there was a big thing because Pat the Enemy's Punk has a podcast called I think it's called the CU Podcast, and
I remember that guy.
I listened to him pretty regularly, and they covered this aspect as well.
Okay.
And his co-host stated something that I want to take a point off of, and it's they can't remember a time, or they don't remember when people started accepting that content had an expiration date.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much I could say about this, but
like when do we start just accepting that games are no longer timeless?
Yeah.
Like, so
they're not classics. It's like, oh yeah,
I enjoy Assassin's Creed. I liked Assassin's Creed all the way up to about Black Flag, and then I kind of dropped from there. I played Origins and enjoyed Origins. I
have a few of them on 360, but I mean, I didn't get into them like you did.
The
but
I have them. Took place in was it the British one? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
but I own it. It was extremely glitchy on PC, and I could not finish it, so I didn't like it very much.
Mm-hmm.
But I own most of them.
But still, you buy the game, you bought the DLC. And what if you want to come back to it later? Oh, it's gone.
No, it's gone. And with PC titles, especially digital titles, I get it. They're licensed to you, whatever. Physical copies of your games are kind of at risk here. So,
well, it extends to other things too. Let's say you're like, you know what? I want to save space. I like the convenience of having all my movies digitally. All my movies are on the cloud. But what if, the company just decides, you know what, we're not going to offer this movie anymore, or we're going to alter the movie. Well, there you go. You can't come back to what you wanted.
Yeah,
you don't actually own it.
But it also brings back the term of the fact that a lot of big companies have been trying to eliminate physical copy or content for years.
It saves them money, gives them more control. And if we as the customers accept it, well.
And
now we reap the consequences.
And now we have a company that's saying it's too expensive
to
keep your digital content alive.
Yep.
So, pray they don't alter it further. But see, that's where I say, like, unless it's downloaded, so you can download it and keep it, as long as it's activated, I believe.
Or they should, like 343 Studios did with Halo. Like, they killed all the multiplayer for their legacy Halo games. And it's like, oh, you can still connect with your friends and play individually. That's cool, as long as Xbox Live is still around. But, okay, you can buy the Master Chief Collection. So on another console, you can play the same games, but you just got to buy, like, a special edition where it's all... I mean, until they take that away, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should just reissue it, because if people are going to buy it, to say, I want a physical copy.
Absolutely correct. Elvira brings a really good term. So this can be a big issue with cloud gaming platforms like Stadia.
Yeah.
So I'm not too familiar with Stadia as far as owning your downloaded games, but
it's a subscription.
It's a subscription, yes. So for cloud gaming services like Luna and GeForce Now, most of the time you're subscribing to just stream out your games. Now, I believe some of them have deals where you can buy the titles, right? And you get them all the time, so they're not cycling through. But because I had Luna for a little while, it was okay, but that was just to pretty much review the platform and see how it performed in our state. And it did fine, but you could be in, like, Canada, and it would be horrible. So I've heard people who were complaining up and down.
I think you and I tried it out one time. We played that game where you had to move the stuff. Wasn't that... Or is this a different platform?
No, it was Luna, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was $5 a month for their basic package, which was fine. The thing where they get you is they have different channels, and you have to pay $20 a month for each channel.
Subscription-based.
Yes. So it's because Ubisoft wants you to pay $20 a month. And the big thing there is Ubisoft doesn't care that you're paying $20 a month for streaming their games. They still want you to pay microtransactions for all the extra content.
Yeah,
and there was a guy who got suckered into that, paid for his Assassin's Creed Origins stuff, and spent like $100+ in microtransactions. And then the Luna server crashed, and he lost everything. And guess what? When you lose everything on Luna, nothing is backed up on your own drives, and you cannot contact Luna to get that stuff back. So he just lost $100.
Yeah. It's like you won a bunch of money at the casino and you took your chips home and you come back to cash them in and the casino's gone. So
yeah.
You just screwed yourself.
Yeah. Pretty much. So, I mean, I don't think it's a great idea to have more than one subscription service in cloud gaming, but
well, and someone will say, hey, they're a private company, they can do what they want.
Figured it would be like Netflix and stuff, having a game available when I'm in the middle of it.
We need to stop accepting it as consumers, and I think as companies, you're doing what seems to be profitable at this time, but you're creating all this bad will, and your customers are angry, but they're sticking with you only because you're the only game in town, not because they feel like they're actually being offered a good deal. Because not everybody is just going to be like, okay, I'm going to play a game for 6 months, then delete it, and play another game for 6 months.
That's the expectation.
I'll watch a movie once and then forget about it.
Yeah,
I'll never come back to it. I'll never have a collection.
It's the expectation.
Yeah.
So
it's disposable. It's much more disposable.
And this piggybacks off another thing is there was a guy that I read in an article who was talking about how a lot of retro games right now are a waste of time. And at first I started off with that article thinking like where is he coming from? Because he was talking about games like this one right here, right behind Kurgan, and I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but that's Star Wars Obi-Wan. And that's playing from my Xbox right now. That's demoing off my Xbox at the moment. And I really enjoy that game. Not a lot of people do, but I really enjoy it.
What it could have been. See, I saw it when it was a PC game at E3. So
getting back to my original point, like there's a lot of retro titles that. Why
are they a waste of time?
That are coming out, and they're talking about. His main point was getting to the point that they're getting rebooted, or a lot of them were getting rebooted or remade, or some people don't like how the graphics look on the retro titles. So instead
something to say about that.
They're getting rebooted now, and it's taking time away from people who could be working on much more creative ideas, much better games. Or
that
Last of Us has been remade 3 times now, or no, twice. It came out on the PS3, was remade a remastered edition on PS4, and it came out again for PS5. And that takes developer time to do.
But doesn't that assume that there's a finite number of developers? Like,
I mean,
oh man, I wanted to make Assassin's Creed 7, but I have to work on this. Like
Naughty Dog could be working on a whole new IP, but instead they chose the salad, which is the safer option, and
but that's their choice,
and that's fine. Though that's fine, but like I said, it's this guy's opinion here, and I agree with it because they could be making something that's much more creative, much more enjoyable, but it's a risk. And instead of taking a risk, we're now making, like I said, we have our Crash Bandicoot remastered on like the Switch, PC, and whatever, and that's cool. But
it's the old problem of
Sleeping Dogs came out in 2012, and I enjoyed Sleeping Dogs. That was a really cool kung fu game. 2 years later, they made a remaster for the next gen consoles.
That is pretty quick.
So like, it's one of those things where right now, one of the top selling games at the moment on Steam, like one of the most popular games right now, is a story about a cat, and it's something new, and it's very enjoyable. I might stream it eventually.
So instead of a goat, it's a cat.
55,000 people are streaming it on Twitch last time I checked. So I mean, it's but like that's the thing. It's like it's something simple, and it's from the devs, I believe, who made 12 Seconds. They're like a French developer company, and like I said, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but
I don't know.
Like I said, this is a big thing, and it's
you spend a lot more time like on Steam with like the indie games, so I think you're definitely a little more up on all this than I am.
Right,
but the bigger point you're making kind of reminds me of a discussion of film, where you've got all these unpublished screenplays of all these interesting ideas, but they're risky because they're new and different. And so it's much easier to just have sequels, prequels, remakes of stuff, even though it's going to be, nowhere near as good as the original.
I could have probably said stuff like that 10, 15 years ago when they started that stuff.
It never ends. It's always going. So maybe from the company standpoint, there's also that other thing. It's like, well, why do you care about Assassin's Creed? Because they're just going to remake it on another system and you can buy it again.
No, see, that's just shoveling it out at that point.
Not even trying.
They started changing the Assassin's Creed formula probably around, I think it was Origins. Either that or it was Syndicate. Syndicate's the one that was really glitchy.
Okay.
But Origins...
I've only dabbled in the series, so...
But I do like the originals, like the Altair and Ezio storylines. Those were nice. Connor's storyline was fine.
But see, I'm feeling the passion for you, because it's like, if this was a series that I really liked, that I'd spent a lot of time playing, that I bought... I'd be really angry. I'd be really upset. I'd be like,
storylines, and when they stopped,
you're just yanking it out from under me.
When
good
they
and bad.
Eliminated one of the storylines because a bunch of gamers on PlayStation said that the dude sucked. I was sad because it was like they had two. It was like you were being told a story within a story, and like you were always like wanting to know what came next in that story, and like so you play through the Animus, you're like, oh, I'm getting invested in here, and then they rip you out, and you get to experience the main character who got to live in that machine, and you were like, oh, cool, now I get to know what happens next. And then like just as things got good, you'd go right back in, and then you're like, oh, crap. So like it kind of tossed you back and forth, and then like most of the time the game left you on a cliffhanger. So like
maybe that's not a... Well, I guess with a game, I mean, there's always more to play.
Yeah, and like they knew what they were doing, and eventually, it did start to get tiring.
As opposed to like a TV show where they just keep making season after season until you hate it. It's no longer good, and it's like, when is this going to die?
But they, like I said, they knew what they were doing, and like by the second one, I guess they already had a plan to change things up, and it was kind of like it was just, to me, it was disappointing. It started to get disappointing. So I don't know. The point of the matter is that I feel I don't agree with the movie pitch. Like your standard movie pitch. Like if it's longer than an elevator ride, they don't want to hear it. And that's the Hollywood movie pitch like idea.
So you're saying they should take more risks?
I say that like not everybody who has a great idea in life can fit their entire script into a 7-second elevator ride. I also feel that like if you're a game developer, you don't want to put your entire resume into remakes and reboots.
Yeah.
Because most of the innovators out there are people who take risks or people who get out there and do something with their life. They, you know,
kind of like saying, "Hey, I'm a movie director and I've directed 3 Marvel movies, and that's it."
I mean, I
made plenty of money for my family, but
I was gonna say, I don't know if that makes or breaks you.
Maybe that's what you wanted to do,
so,
but if it were me, I'd rather be known for this cool thing that nobody else believed in it, and I did, and it succeeded, and it's my dream.
But think of it this way: would you rather be known as the dude who made the first KOTOR, or would you rather be the guy who made the KOTOR remake?
Yeah.
And like that's what I'm saying is like I'm looking forward to Aspyr making it, but like I said, nothing came close to BioWare when they did the original, and the original team isn't on BioWare anymore. But I bet you it's on their resume.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole nother side of this that we don't see.
And that's longer than 7 years ago, but I'm pretty sure they could still stamp the original KOTOR on their resume.
Well, think of all those guys that work on like MAME, like all those emulator guys.
So, are you saying instead of remaking HeroQuest, we should have gotten an entirely different game? No, that's a board game.
Well,
so that's okay.
That's an interesting point.
So that's a board game, and it's been what 20 plus years.
It's been 30 years.
Okay, so it's been 30 years. We're getting a fresh idea in HeroQuest, and on top of that, the things that I'm talking about are like right now. To me, the game industry is starving for new ideas.
Well, can I say something about the HeroQuest point? Because that was a good point. Before Hasbro launched their full-on official remake in 2021, there was going to be that was the 2 quest that we talked about, where they had to wrestle the copyright IP back. This other company was going to make a HeroQuest. I don't know if it was Chaosium or Game Zone or whatever, but there was going to be like a game that was like inspired by HeroQuest, essentially. And it was going to be a modern game with like the old themes. But what they did is they re-released the original, essentially, just with new aesthetic. But see, the way I would see it is when the original HeroQuest came out, they had the board game, and then they had Advanced HeroQuest. So in the same year, they released 2 games with the same like theme, the same universe. But one of them was a straight up board game, and the other one was like an RPG that appealed more to like people who like to paint miniatures and do role playing and stuff like that. So they could have done both. Yes, they would have had to risk more. They would have had to spend more. But I mean, there's all that work that the 2 Quest people did.
Okay.
So they could have done both.
So to me, it still seems though that HeroQuest was still getting a fair bit of variety and wasn't pumping everything out every like 2 seconds. So, like it still seemed like people were still being. I feel like it was still content.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like when you're getting this remake now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's meeting a certain expectation.
It is. Maybe a better way to compare it would be to something like Minecraft. Like when Minecraft comes out, you think, oh man, Minecraft had such a good story mode, and man, I can't wait for the next story mode coming out. It's like, no, the whole point of Minecraft is you use it to make your own stuff. Mm-hmm. You have your own adventure. HeroQuest is like that. It's got its built-in adventures, but the whole point of it is to like train you, give you ideas, and then you make your own stuff. So when an expansion comes out, it's more, there's like a couple test missions, but then you make your own. Yes, there are people that just like to play the official missions, but it's about creating your own. So if you compare it to a video game, which is all about making mods, like it's really easy to make mods. It's really easy to change the game and make it your own. That would be more akin to what it is.
Doesn't that be my point though? Is that we don't need another remake of the game to make it more like super realistic.
You just need to make the game available.
Like that's like somebody who's saying, I don't like the way Jedi Academy looks, and then like they reboot Jedi Academy.
Yeah,
and like Unreal Engine 5 because it looks better.
Yeah, well,
like, that'd be great, but like it still wouldn't be Jedi Academy like the way it was now. Like,
well, yeah, because with HeroQuest, it'd be just like, what are you going to do? Like the miniatures are now made of gold instead of plastic, or the board is like made of like polished wood or something. No, it's the same stuff. Yeah, with Jedi Academy, you could just like re-release it with better graphics, but it's the same game.
Not to mention the fact that like
remake,
whoever's doing the remake, it's probably going to be full of whatever modern games are full of now.
Yeah, like Duke Nukem Forever. Like you did that awesome stream with the leaked beta, and it was just like wow, because the game that we finally got it wasn't sure whether it wanted to be like a retro shooter or like a modern shooter. So it had everything kind of mixed together in a haphazard, unsatisfying way.
You get to shoot Jay Leno.
and pee out your eyes.
Yes, pee out your eyes.
Yeah, so, but it's like, yeah, you just have to release the game, and it's that moment in time, and it is what it is. But I think with HeroQuest, it doesn't have to just be like a flash of nostalgia. And that's why they went from like the pledge drive where people bought the Mythic tier, and it's like that could have been the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But instead they decided, no, we're going to sell it in stores next to Risk and Clue and Axis and Allies, and it's going to just be a thing. But then when you go to the store to buy Assassin's Creed, like, oh, great, this awesome game that I remember, and oh, too bad all the stuff is gone now. All the DLC that formed a part of the game is now gone. It's like, what a shame.
Yeah.
Because I like to go back to games. I like to collect games. I like to go back to games.
I said it's been, what they had, the first one's Brotherhood, Revelations, 3, 4, 5, and they had the Templar one, which Rogue. I think those were all pretty much the same mechanic. Roundabout, they had different things. They're about the same mechanic. You can pretty much pick any one of them up in a different pattern and pretty much kind of know how to play them. Yeah. They kind of play differently a little bit, but 7 games before they really altered how the game played. Then Origins became pretty much like a role-playing game, I believe. Like it had role-play elements, like RPG elements. Yeah. They all kind of had the parkour and the assassinations and stuff like that, but I can't remember too much of Syndicate because, like I said, I only played the beginning and like literally it was game-breakingly bad.
It's okay to change things. I mean, if you play a Pac-Man game today, it's not going to be the same as the old Pac-Man.
No, and that's where I'm getting at. Like, to answer your question, Elvira, I feel like HeroQuest, as far as HeroQuest goes, me personally, and this could just be a bias because I'm, like I said, I'm new to HeroQuest. I don't feel HeroQuest has been running into the ground.
No, not at all.
And like I said, Last of Us came out. I was still working at GameStop when it came out. It was 2013. It has had 3 major releases since. We're not even 10 years in. So, and like I said, most of the time, and it's been $60 every time it's been released. So every time you go to pick it up for your new console that you've spent $300, $400, $500, $600 on.
See, this is what they always said about Nintendo.
You're picking up another $60 title that has maybe better render resolution, better subsurface scattering. You get 4K resolutions for your TV if you have a 4K TV, and if you don't, then you're not really utilizing the full potential of the game at that point. So to me, I feel like it's just the game. The game itself is good. You could get the same gameplay element experience because that game tells such a good story on the PlayStation 3 than if you were playing it on the PS5. The only difference is that it plays probably a lot smoother.
Well,
So your first impression
mhm.
I'd probably recommend on a better console. But like I said, I played that thing on
There's an interesting point about that.
what?
So I'm not a PlayStation guy, although I have PS2. On the Xbox consoles, they do this. Like on the Xbox One, you've got a large number of AAA titles that are backwards compatible.
Yeah.
But then you've got several more games that aren't backwards compatible, but then they have an Xbox One version of that game. It's like if I want to play Tropico 5 on Xbox One, I've got to buy the Xbox One version. I can't just play the 360 version.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, sometimes they just do that. They want you to get the new one. They want you to spend 60
But that's
bucks.
like having proprietary cables. Like sometimes it doesn't matter. They just want you to buy the cables for them.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like there's not too much of a difference. One just runs better than the other. And I feel like yes, sometimes your gameplay experience.
But if you're starting fresh with a new console,
yeah, I feel.
Is Lord of Carmine still in the chat? By the way, not to get off on another topic.
I don't. Let me check. I'll check chat.
Because I was just thinking how interesting it would be to get somebody. Okay, I don't know if he knows this or can say it. I'm sure he knows it, but the question is, can he say it? Why? To simplify it, why did HeroQuest go away at the time that it did?
And one has been re-released way too many times. I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah, the only time I bought Skyrim more than once was I was given the special edition for free because I owned Skyrim and all its DLCs on Steam. Yeah, he said, yeah, I'm listening.
Nice.
And then so they gave me the special edition for free, and then I have the VR version because I was goated in getting the VR.
Yeah.
I had it on Switch, but I was gifted that, and I don't have it anymore. So
yeah. Looks like an amazing game. It's just not the type of game that I got into because, believe it or not, like I prefer like arcade action type games, quick games. Like if I ever see a game that I think, oh man, that's going to take too long to play, I just don't even get into it. Yeah. Even if it'd be the type of game that I would really enjoy, like it's like, oh man, it's going to take me 5 years to get through this game.
That's a super good question. I will ask Stephen Baker.
Aha!
I don't know that history.
The OG. Because that's what I'm really, really curious about. And with each passing day, I'm more and more curious. Because in my head, in my mind, and this is probably complete BS, I'm thinking, oh man, I know what happened. They released the Frozen Horror and they released the Elf Quest Pack, Mage of the Mirror, and they weren't up to par, and so people were just like, forget HeroQuest. But it might not have been the case, because some of us suspect that they had to hurry those along and release them quickly, and so that's why they didn't have time to do more and release the other packs. I mean, for me personally, like as a kid, like I was getting more into like video games. And so I was like, I don't have time to play this board game. I'm busy playing my Sega Genesis. I'm busy playing Super Nintendo. You know, that was me. And so maybe there was a competition thing. And so they were just like, yeah, we're going to focus our energy on other things. Or maybe it wasn't selling as well. But why was it not selling? I would love to know that. I'd love to get like some inside information. That'd be really cool to know. Because I'm sure that now Hasbro is thinking like, okay, well, we want to avoid whatever it was that caused us to lose popularity back then. You know, what happened? Did the people quit that were making it? Yeah. Want to do other stuff?
Slowly melting.
Slowly melting. Yeah. Well, I'm nice and warm though.
Oh, indeed, it gets toasty in this room.
Yeah, there's so much technology in this room, plus all the heat, the anger, the rage.
Yeah, I don't think I've had every bit of technology running all at once. That could be a thing, yeah. But my computer's not exhausting that much heat.
No.
If I'm like doing something crazy, it does.
Yeah, well,
you can definitely tell my laptop can't handle the same stuff as my desktop. The stream is now running through my laptop for the live RantCast, so you can tell it's like hiccuping now once in a while. But
with stuff expiring, I talked about the Halo stuff. Like I still regularly play Halo online, but I have to just message the person and be like, okay, we're playing Halo tonight. You know, we're playing Reach, playing Firefight, and join now. Like, okay, done. Rather than, oh man, I'm just going to wait for someone to connect to me. But I remember the WWE games, the 2K games, that would always piss us off because I had a regular group that I played with and it worked perfect with my work schedule. I come home from work, it's like, get on there and just start like beating up Randy Orton. You know, it's just great. Great stress reliever. But like they would shut down the servers every 24 months, and then the new game would come out. It's the same exact game. You buy it again, and you play it until they shut down the servers, and then they release the next game.
Sports games.
But see, wrestling, it's they're pretending it's a sports game so they can do that. And yeah, people have settled for it and said, "Oh, well, the season's over. We need the new game."
So, it says it's really odd that each region was going.
Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
HQ. Good
Real Quest.
But remember, the evolution of that consumer demographic is drastically different than the golden age of the console generation in the late 80s and early 90s.
Is this Lord and Carmine again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel very like open and supportive because I know in the HeroQuest community, like at Ye Olde Inn, there were people saying like, "Okay, what's the new edition going to be like? What's the new edition going to be like?" And I was like, I don't care if there's multiple editions because it's such a like game table focused game. It's not like there's a universal, unified rule set of HeroQuest. Like some people like Icarith was talking about that. He's just like, I'm so glad there's a unified rule across the globe. And it's like, but why? Why would it have to be that way? What if I want to play it the way the Brazilian version did or the Japanese version? I mean, it's probably easier for the company to just have like one version and they just translate that into different languages rather than going, okay, we got to balance like the Spanish version, you know, and the and the you know, the French version and whatever. It's like everybody's the same. And I think they had a good thing going when they took like some popular elements from the European version and incorporated it into the North American rules. So it's kind of like you got a hybrid of all the different ones, kind of like a greatest hits of HeroQuest. And now this is going to be the global version.
Use Magic the Gathering as a good case study for the evolution of modern gaming.
Oh, shoot. So I had friends that played Magic the Gathering, and I thought the artwork was good, but I've heard from a lot of people who are pissed off because, yeah, they've changed it. So, but that's
Magic have a sordid history.
But that's a much more competitive game. It's like you build your deck, you go to the game shop, and you play the official tournament rules with the people. And like, oh, you can't use that card, you can't use that deck. Like HeroQuest isn't like that. I mean, what other game is like that? It's like, you know, you go over to someone's house and it's like, okay, we're playing Halo. No, you can't play that Halo. You got to play this other Halo. It's like, what are you talking about? But it's a different, yeah. I think we ranted a little bit about that already.
We did. It was the very first episode.
Oh, episode 0.
If you go into a hobby store today, you can be overwhelmed by the amount of sets. But
well, that's the other thing. Accessibility, gatekeeping. I mean, there's all that. HeroQuest is you buy the box and then you play it, and no one can tell you anything else. Rather than, oh no, you've got to build your deck according to these specific rules, and oh that one's expired, that's out of date. You got to get the new one.
It's out of date.
I was going to read my favorite book. I got halfway through Frankenstein, and I'm trying to read the end of the book, but it expired, so now I got to buy the book again.
It says it's evolving to create different versions for different tastes, and I can agree to that and disagree with that at the same time, mostly because I have had a specific taste for Magic on a certain deck that has given me an edge, but has given me a severe disadvantage. Like way back in high school. And literally have been told I've had to alter my deck like more than once within a certain year. There was a time when like Magic got ridiculous. Like certain tournament rules got absolutely ridiculous. And I just gave up.
Yeah. Well, because with Magic, it's the competitiveness of it, right? I mean, you get together and it's like you and me are going to have a duel.
No, because
I'm going to beat you.
It can be a community thing, and like I said, there were people I met like at when we went into the JC and Hobby, we went in there and we had a good time. But there were times also when people really got passionate, like really passionate. He pulled out a card that's not
that was not canon anymore.
That's not the rules. If HeroQuest reaches that level, you could see a day where there are different versions or editions for different preferences. Well, like what preferences though?
Well, I see HeroQuest in a different way because you've got a game master who is master of the game, literally. I mean, Zargon runs the show. He introduces the quest, he controls the monsters, and the other players are just guests who go in there and they're heroes. They control the heroes that go through the quest. But at the same time, they're kind of the stars because if the heroes all get killed, the game's over, right? There's nothing more to do. So it's in Zargon's best interest to kind of like at least give them an adventure, rather than trying to kill them off really quickly. So if I go to your house and you're playing as Zargon, you're going to play a certain way, and I'm going to have a certain experience. You come to my house and I'm Zargon, you're going to have a different experience, and that's okay. And it's just like you get to know that person and how their style. But I mean,
multiverse. And I feel
it's okay to do that. It's built into the fabric of the game.
And I feel like a different preference of HeroQuest is going to be like either in an expansion or like in a different like game board, and like it'll be like a 2.0 or something like it'll be very well labeled. It won't be like I built my magic deck like that I can use in the tournament for years. Then all of a sudden I walk into the store and they're like, okay, you can start playing. I get like a quarter of the way through and they're like, you can't use that card.
Yeah, it's not going to happen that way. I mean, with the digital version, anything can happen. But I could see it where, you've got different versions of Monopoly, right? You can, I want to play Mario Kart Opoly. I want to play Lord of the Rings Opoly. I want to play whatever. So
Star Wars Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, so you have Star Wars HeroQuest or Warhammer 40K HeroQuest.
Dope.
Yeah, it would. So, but you could also have like the Advanced HeroQuest or the Warhammer Quest thing. It's like, role-playing supplement for HeroQuest. So it's just an extra book, and it says, here's some suggestions on how you can make your campaign more role-play, storyline-esque. But like when I'm making a quest for somebody, let's say you really like the combat. You just love to roll dice and fight monsters. So I'll make a quest with a lot of combat in it. And that's what you do. Somebody else maybe like prefers to search for treasure. So I'll make a quest that's much more focused on, finding treasure.
You are already custom experiences.
Yeah.
Truth. But it's still based off at least when I do stuff like that, or when I'm like referencing like for D&D.
Yeah.
Can you hand me that book?
Which one?
The original source book.
Oh, sweet.
No, not the original. My core rule book.
This one here?
Yeah. So when I'm doing like D&D, I'm referencing this core rule book right here.
Not a sponsored.
Not a sponsor. Awesome. The revised one is new for me, but the core rule book is the rule book I support. This is 3.5, now 5.0.
Is that the one you lost in the flood?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
it's back.
So this is a good example, I guess, of where you're coming from, right? Like there's going to be different versions, right? It's still, to me, it's still D&D. If somebody wanted to come over and they're more familiar with,
oh no, that's not my version. You don't have my version. You have the different one.
Then I can rip the Saga edition out because I'm pretty sure the rules are fairly similar. There's just a couple hiccups there.
Yeah.
Grab whatever he or she is familiar with, and roll from there. But at the end of the day, I'm still the DM, and you're still playing KOTOR rules with me.
Yeah.
Every decision you make adds dark and light side points, and you're still rolling for those. You're still rolling for those points at the end of the day. But I'm pretty flexible. This is just the one that I was most familiar with, and these are the species that I use based on this book. The revised edition, I think, adds a couple other things, and the Saga, I think, adds like a whole boatload of crap.
The Saga is the Darth Vader cover.
Yeah.
This is the like episode 1 inspired cover.
How many people do we know that continue to play old editions of D&D?
Yep. Well,
I know a group.
And the thing is, though, you could say with some of these games, like, if you're not like someone that has invested in all these books, like, how are you going to get it? Are you going to like, put an eye patch on and a hook and a peg leg and a parrot on your shoulder, and you're going to like find that stuff? I think if you basically give the players permission to like expand, I think that there's a ripple effect. So with HeroQuest, at least, like with the Frozen Horror, they didn't tell you, okay, this is the one way to play the game. They just said, here's some suggestions. We acknowledge that these quests are extremely difficult. Here's some extra artifacts if you want to hide these in your adventures to make it more fair for the heroes. But they give it to you. So if they put stuff in that book, it's a suggestion. You as the game master can do whatever you want.
There's always a baseline of,
but they're inspiring you.
Yeah, in this book, in the revised edition and the saga edition, there's always a baseline of rules, right?
Yeah.
They're usually just adding stuff. And this is the Star Wars role playing game. Yeah. It is based off D&D 3.5. Yeah. So if I'm coming over to somebody's house and they are not familiar with D&D 3.5 and they're more familiar with 5.0, most likely they are not going to understand what I'm playing anyway, and they're going to have to. So like
learning is fine,
and that's the point, because it's pretty much a new game anyway. It's that familiarity.
Yeah.
So it's just based off 3.5. I could grab the role playing game, the most recent book, and go over the basics, and that would probably be more familiar. But at the end of the day, I could grab his old source book and we could probably make a game out of it.
Heck yeah. I'd love to do that someday.
Subtle message of continuing to remind the community that it is your game.
Yes. Because you'll always get those people, and I think I walk a fine line, because I feel like if you change the game too much, it becomes something else other than what it is. But then you might say, well, why is that wrong? I'm just trying to have fun. I'm just trying to have a good time. Anything that inspires me can serve that function. Like maybe I pick up my HeroQuest set, but I want to play a Star Wars game with it. I could do that. Nobody's stopping me. But I want to just...
It's the species in the book.
I want to start with the base game, and then if I get tired of that, or it's not working, or it's not fun, I'm going to change it. But what's there on the page is inspiring me and giving me ideas. I mean, like, I bought a Warhammer book, the illustrated Warhammer World. Not because I wanted to play Warhammer, but because I was curious, because people were telling me, oh, you're missing out on, all this lore. So I thought, well, okay, I'll read through it, and I'll see if there's any cool ideas in there that I can pilfer into my storyline. So I read through it, and I ended up borrowing a lot of stuff from it. And actually, a lot of stuff that I thought I had made up on my own was already in there. So it's like, okay, fantasy tropes. But then there was some stuff, it's like, oh, they never even mentioned that. Well, I'll just put my idea in there, and that's not dishonoring the game, because if you look at early versions of Warhammer, whether it's 40K or fantasy, they just say, hey, if you've got other stuff that you want to incorporate into our game, go for it. Make your own lands, make your own planets, make your own creatures. As long as the people that you're playing with are okay with it, it's good to go. So yeah, make it your game. You're free to do that. And it's like, why should you even have to say that? Because it's not like you have to learn to code to make it happen. You just make it happen. But you always get rules lawyers who will say, no, you can't do that. No. It's like, what if I want to make a Chaos Warrior who has only one body point? It's like, well, there was one version of the game where that was true, so it's fair, But maybe I want to give him like 20 body points. It's going to be a real nasty fight. In this particular adventure, that's the way it is. When you play, you're like, I don't like Chaos Warriors, so there aren't any. Like, all right.
Yeah, with that, we're going to take a kind of an earlier break here real quick. We'll be right back.
Yep.
Our next topic will probably be covering some Star Wars stuff.
This comes back to Star Wars. On the real cast.
I'm probably going to combine that in with some chronology stuff. So,
oh boy. If
anybody's excited about the chronology, I know.
This is the new essential chronology.
Yeah, it's pre-Disney lore. So
pre-Disney. Before the dark times. Yeah, before the end.
The old expanded universe. Who wants to know about anything that they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
that was inspired. That inspired Disney to create some stuff that's in that book. So we'll be right back here with some more Rantcast. Go away.
Yeah. Rantcast.
All right.
Rantcast.
Serial Rant.
Serial Rantcast. Not a sponsored video. Oh, just gotta take a little drink here.
We should.
Cheers,
get
Dead
the
Gamer.
recording. Yeah. Thank you for your passion, gentlemen. Appreciate both of you bringing that energy and enthusiasm to the larger community of fans. Have a great evening.
And who was that?
Lauren and Carmine. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Even though we have, with a small crowd and everything, thank you for giving us your attention. That's
Yep.
what matters. Violet said, now that you got Kirk in there, you should get a recording of Rantcast.
Yeah, it'll just be a video of me doing that like over and over until my voice is completely gone. And then you could just,
we
montage.
we keep wanting to get a cameo so we can get celebrities to be like, hi, I'm such and such celebrity, and you're listening to the Rantcast.
I'm such and such a celebrity. Yeah, we got to get the Halo guy. I want to get Ric Flair.
Oh my god! Yeah,
We are getting the Ninja Boy, Ric Flair. Woo!
All right,
man. Rick, if you're out there, call us. You.
Anyway, welcome back. All right, my music cut out because for some reason
Copyright.
It sucks. It doesn't.
Just kidding.
Yeah, we're back. Yeah, we're back
On the Rantcast. Rantcast.
So next,
we've talked about HeroQuest. We talked about Star Wars. We talked about games pissing us off, taking that DLC away. Like, some of these are not my games, but man, I would be mad. I'd be like, I'm like mad on your behalf. Because really, if they can do it to his game, they can do it to your game. They can do it to my game. They can do it to anything.
Oh, they will.
And we've gotten used to it. We've accepted it. But who decided that these games had to have such big budgets and such long development times that now they can't afford to maintain this edifice they've created? Like, I like the fact that, I mean, if I have two Xboxes, I can plug them together and I can play Halo with my friends if I want to. Like, I don't need to rely on 343 having a server up and, maintaining it for me to enjoy their game. But what if they didn't have that? Then I'd just be stuck. It's like, well, it sure would be nice to play this old game, but I can't play it anymore. And yeah, you could say in the old days it was like, what's that?
Grab your Xbox.
Grab your Xbox, yeah. In the old days, okay, so I'm playing Frogger, like Seinfeld. And they're like, Grandpa, what's Seinfeld? Well, so it's like he's playing Frogger and he wants to take the machine home so that he can keep his high score because they're going to throw the machine away. So he has to walk it across the street and then it gets hit by a car. But I mean, now they've got emulation, so they've recreated that hardware. And if you can find the ROMs, you could play the game. Or you could wait for, Midway to release a compilation and play it on your system. But like those games are still going to be there unless it's a subscription-based service where they can take it away.
I guess they do have emulation for PS3 and 360 games.
But again,
they're not perfect.
To your point, it's not the company's fault if the emulation isn't perfect. And I can understand why they would say, you know what, we're not going to support that until we can get Aaron Giles or whoever to like work with us and come up with the definitive official version and sell it on a CD or sell it on an arcade cabinet that has 1,000 games or whatever. Because then they'll just say, well, that was just some kid like hacking it and it's not really. But on the other hand, they'll release subpar releases like those arcade 1-ups that are so popular. Like the graphics are not the same as the original arcades. So they're, in my opinion, they're presenting like a false presentation of it. Yeah, it's supposed to be a low budget, like nostalgic, thing to put in your room because you can't afford the full size cabinet, so you buy the smaller one. But I mean, the graphics are totally different. Some of the features are gone. So kids are going to see it and go, well, that was the game? Well, that's nothing special. Why did you even like that? So, but you're buying it because it reminds you of the old game, and maybe you don't remember what it was really like.
I mean, yeah.
Like they give you Obi-Wan, but let's say it's in like an aspect ratio that was totally different from the original, or they cut out a level, or they changed a name of a character, and they didn't tell you.
I like those games in their original format.
Yeah.
Because they do have that nostalgic feel.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind if the performance is fixed a little bit. Like the WWE games, I love them, but their load times are just obscene. Like you're just sitting there waiting. You're just like getting so like antsy, waiting for the match to begin. So on like newer hardware, okay, they could be a shorter load time, but they don't have to like change the gameplay. And oh, I'm sorry, that wrestler isn't working anymore, so let's just delete him from the game. It's like no,
he's going to be in our DLC.
He'll be in our DLC, yeah, and then you can't have him.
That's gone in 10 years.
See, that just encourages people to go, okay, fine, I'm just going to hack the game. I'm just going to like, rip the code and like, but you're the company. You're
piracy.
Yeah. You're basically, it's not justifying it, but you're kind of pushing people in that direction. Like I would rather buy it from you, the company. I'd rather support you and say, here it is. But if you're going to tell me, yeah, your product is just broken, you're on your own, then I'm kind of like, that is awfully tempting. And then it's like you're throwing away a fortune. Don't be a fool, That's how I see it. I mean, yeah, they're losing money because they're maintaining these legacy games that are not as popular. But why not? I mean, I had heard, this is maybe a rumor, but George Lucas, like at a certain point, he decided the special editions are the definitive Star Wars trilogy for me, and I don't care about the originals anymore. But because people were selling bootlegs on eBay of the laser discs that they converted to DVD, somebody at 20th Century Fox or Lucasfilm was just like, listen, we're losing like this number of dollars every year to people that are selling this. We could be making something. So like, okay, fine. We'll release a DVD where it's the special edition, but then the bonus feature is the original theatrical version of each of the movies. So now there's an official version. So everybody who says, well, I only downloaded the RIP because there's no official version. Now they don't have that excuse. It's like, okay, I'll buy it for $10. And Lucasfilm got that money, So they've undercut the bootleggers. So yeah, I mean, Hasbro is not getting paid for all those people selling, the ElfQuest pack for $1,000 on eBay. If they re-release it for $45, they're going to make a sale on that.
The scalpers don't have anything to scalp.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe scalping is the wrong term. I mean, I do think that is an absurd markup. Scalping, I think, is more for like more recent products.
Highway robbery.
Yeah. But I mean, like, with the Mythic tier, I mean, that was only out like November of 2021, and already like the day after it ended, people were selling it for double the price, triple the price.
I mean, because you can make your money back.
Right, but if it's a vintage game from like 30 years ago, well, okay, maybe. I mean, I think it's still kind of shady, but it's not as shady.
I mean, do you
as...
really want that mythic tier?
I mean, I have it, but I mean,
you do?
I do have it. Yeah. I mean, looking back though, the only thing that really was worth it to me, I mean, a couple of the miniatures were pretty cool, but they're not necessary to the game. They're just extra. So it's like, oh, here's a couple extra alternative sculpts of different monsters. But the Stephen Baker quest book, I was really curious about. And it ended up being a really cool quest book. I mean, I read through it. I haven't played it. But I mean, the ideas that are in there are really awesome and worthy, I think, of the HeroQuest name. And I'm thinking, like, it's such a pity that such a small number of people get to see that. And so it would be really awesome if they re-released that. Now,
so
more people could appreciate it, really.
Our next topic.
Yeah, because we could go on and on.
We could.
But there's other episodes of the Rantcast coming.
Let's see. We have The Mandalorian.
Oh, man. So what? So there were, 2 seasons, and then there was the Book of Boba Fett, and then now what's happening?
Well...
Because I didn't see the Book of Boba Fett. But I was dragged kicking and screaming to see The Mandalorian. I wasn't going to bother with it. I thought to myself, this was my attitude. I was like, I don't want to give Disney any more money. I don't want to support them. I don't agree with the direction they're going with Star Wars. I mean, I tried.
You're just a grumpy guy.
I totally am. I saw The Force Awakens in theaters. I saw, against my better judgment, I saw The Last Jedi in theaters.
They had some good stuff.
I watched Solo I saw Rogue One in theaters. I watched Solo on DVD. But everybody told me The Mandalorian is the savior of Star Wars.
It's not the savior of Star Wars.
But this is what they told me.
Look,
I watched it.
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau do a great job. They're not not gods among men. Okay,
it was.
Let's keep it.
It had there were some episodes that not much happened. There were some episodes that were pretty decent.
Well, here, let me.
For what it was trying to do, I think they did a good thing in not focusing on legacy characters. Just tell your own story. That's what I've been saying.
Let me lay out the scoop.
Yeah.
So it looks like next installment of the Star Wars spinoff will hit Disney Plus February of 2023. They already have a trailer out there. You can go check it out. Just type in The Mandalorian Season 3 trailer.
If I do watch it, I'm not going to binge it. I don't do well with binging shows anymore. Can't do it.
New footage was screened at Star Wars Celebration. Somebody did post it on their phone. I think it's gone now. But anyway.
Of course. Allegedly.
Bryce Dallas Howard will be back at the helm. And as far as the rest of the cast, we've got...
Because a lot of these characters are alive, but aren't some of the people like on the outs with...
yeah.
Because I know Gina Carano was famously let go. Is Bill Burr still going to be in it? And Pedro Pascal.
They're not covering too much, but I'm taking a look. So you got your usual Pedro Pascal. Of course, Grogu's making a comeback. You got your two main.
Carl Weathers is back.
Moff Gideon, being played by Giancarlo Esposito, your favorite Far Cry 6 actor.
They're up to 6 now? Wow. Such a far cry from the first game.
Is coming back is Greek Karga. Katie Sackhoff is coming back as Bo-Katan. And she...
no problems with the armor whatsoever.
Looks like she's coming back to challenge Din for the Darksaber.
Sasha Banks is in it?
Yep, and then Rosario Dawson, who they look like they tried to cancel her, but
Ahsoka.
didn't happen. She come back as Ahsoka.
See, just let people do their job. I mean, judge them by their acting. Who cares?
And it looks like Christopher Lloyd is making is joining the ranks, but it looks like it's a mystery role.
Murder.
Boy.
The DeLorean is going to come out of hyperspace. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's Sasha Banks is returning as Casca Reeves.
I don't even remember her character from before. Which one was that?
But and of course, unfortunately, because I did like Cara Dune as a character, the politics aside, but will not be returning. Even though she's one of the main characters in the Rangers of the New Republic spinoff, Lucasfilm has cut all ties with Carano following her social media activity from 2 years ago. So, this is a safe bet.
Yeah.
And it looks like Rangers of the New Republic has been canceled as well.
See,
like I said, all politics aside, folks,
they create
I'm
this.
not showing my affiliation here.
No, me neither.
People are stupid. People do stupid things. We all say stupid stuff. If you were fired for saying one stupid thing in your life, we'd all be out of a job. That's all I have to say.
I would rather they would just do your entertainment stuff, and who cares? Like, if I just said, well, I can't enjoy this film unless I agree politically with every writer and actor.
Well, that's the thing, though.
And the guy with the lighting,
it's just that is we also think of these people as better than people.
Yeah.
So when they do something stupid, it's like they've committed an act of treason or a conscious sin, and it's like they've blown up the world. Are you
a role model for life, or no? You're an actor.
She did something really dumb, and that's that we can all agree on. It was dumb. It was super dumb. Shouldn't have done it, no matter what you believe in. Because you're supposed to be professional. You're supposed to show an act of professionalism as an actor/actress. You're representing yourself, right? It's like me at work. When I'm on the job, I'm not spouting stupid stuff on social media. I'm not spouting stupid stuff in front of
people. That's what I mean. They should...
No.
I mean, if they want to have a blanket thing for... It's like, okay, when you're working for our company, you can only do publicity for our stuff. You can't be active in other stuff. I think what people who supported her were saying was, well, other people got away with stuff and she didn't. And so it was like, okay, it's like office politics, It's like, we don't like you, so here's an excuse to get rid of you.
Father comes back with it. Is totally agree. No one is perfect, and it's impossible to hurt no one's feelings. Everyone should be canceled then. Exactly. And like I said, if you can tell me you've said nothing stupid in your life, made almost no mistakes, and has not ever had a Facebook or has never signed on to Facebook and said something like either you regret or has said something you probably shouldn't have said that you believed in, probably just could have kept it to yourself or within a private setting, then you also should have lost your job. Because,
I bet you could go through the entire cast of that show and you could find at least one stupid thing each person has said or done. And you could say, okay, well, by that logic, we should cancel all of them. And then you don't have any show. Anyway. And what was the point?
Anyway, and that's what I say. It's
but all that aside, is the show any good? You would say yes.
That's much to know, and I'll get there. Hold on.
Yeah. But the question is do we want more of The Mandalorian?
But, Bryce Dallas Howard's coming back to lead the episode. So she directed 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, and
see, that's the thing. I couldn't tell you
Return of the Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett, which was really awkward considering the fact that I think after that, the Mandalorian pretty much just took over that show.
I couldn't tell you who directed what episode, so I don't know if these are good or bad signs for the new season.
Oh, look, and they're bringing back the Babu Frick. which are the furry little creatures.
He was the
from
guy that the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, the furry little creature from the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, because they got rid of Baby Yoda, right?
No, baby. I said
He's back.
Yeah, I said that in the cast. Baby Grogu's coming back. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
It's right here. Din Djarin and Grogu is back, coming back.
Oh, okay. Couldn't get rid of their moneymaker.
But Pedro Pascal.
He was cute. He got a lot of people excited for a cute character.
All right, so
I guess you've always had cute characters in Star Wars.
Kind of saw the trailer from what the dude had on his phone, and from what I saw, it looked okay, but like I could barely see it. So
that's so funny. So they don't have an official trailer?
No, they did. They showed it at Celebration, but I'm pretty sure it's showing now. It's just the fact that like I would just rather get the synopsis at this point.
Trailers can be misleading, so I don't know. But you
yeah.
have to have Disney Plus to see this.
Boots on the ground has the trailer descriptions from the event. Armor saying how unhappy she is that the man removed his helmet. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And
Yeah. Rey Mysterio took his mask off, then he put it back on.
Yeah,
he took it off again.
By choice. Bo-Katan sits upon the throne and says that she too is unimpressed by Mando. Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin then promises to head to Mandalore to be forgiven for his transgressions. Grief Karga also makes an appearance, seemingly mayor of a town, and in a shootout. Excuse me.
Can I say one thing about that?
Go ahead.
I don't mean to take up the whole thing because we're talking about the new season, but I thought it was clever the way they did the first two seasons, because I know that you had this pre-established Star Wars lore that they were basically rewriting with this, but they did bring back some classic things, and they found creative ways to say, oh, why are the Mandalorians acting like this? Oh, because it's a specific sect, and they aren't necessarily connected with the other Mandalorians who do things a little differently.
Talking about the Death Watch.
Yeah. So they can have, it's almost like they can, on the one hand, do whatever they want, on the other hand, say, oh, it's all part of one continuity and it all fits together. Because people are very concerned about Star Wars being one unified lore.
The traditional Mandalorian culture into the Death Watch. Because the traditional Mandalorians were like warriors of blood and stuff like that. So
yeah.
And not peace.
Yeah.
But that's another.
But they can have it. But they can have it both ways. Then.
Yeah. No,
they give themselves.
They can.
Yeah.
So of course the footage also has. I keep calling him Baby Yoda. It's not Baby Yoda. It's
still Baby Yoda to me.
Grogu and Grogu and Mando back together. What's more?
Mando and Grotto.
Come the end, a different character.
Heard it here first.
Asks Grogu, "Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?"
Here's what I want to see in season 3. This will change. I will forgive all their other missteps.
So did you hear that?
If they put Baby Yoda in Mandalorian armor, make it happen.
They're bringing another full-fledged Mandalorian in here too. There's also a tiny sliver of footage released at another panel. Upcoming episodes sees the first ever glimpse at Mandalore. Ooh, they're going to be showcasing Mandalore as well. Nice.
See, all of this stuff is interesting, but until we actually see how it fits together, it almost doesn't matter.
It's kind of nice.
If the story, because it's kind of like some other things, like Star Trek did it and Star Wars has done it.
That beard of yours fit you're pessimistic.
Well, somebody's got to counteract your, rampant optimism. So, right?
It's not optimism.
I know. I'm just
saying, like, look, I'm bringing in.
You're trying to look on the bright side.
Yeah, I'm bringing in what they're introducing, which is kind of interesting. I'm glad.
Give them the benefit of the doubt till we can actually see what's going to happen.
And the Mandalorian happened to me. Like,
it's a bright spot.
I'll give you my opinion on it because I haven't told you if it sucks or if it didn't suck.
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
But here, I'll give it to you now, so you don't have to be so pessimistic.
RantCast.
So, really, the first 2 seasons of the Mandalorian to me weren't that bad. Like I said, I don't think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are like. I don't think they're gods on men. I don't think they saved Star Wars.
Agree.
I just think that the things that were given to us were bad, and they gave us something good.
So they were a bright spot.
Back to
bright
roots.
spot.
Yeah, so they, it's. I don't know why we have to go to such extremes. Some people suck at making certain content. Some people don't suck at making certain content. And I don't think The Mandalorian is like a gem in Star Wars opera. I think it's a good story that needed to be told. If we had great Star Wars movies right now and The Mandalorian came out, to me it would still be good, and I'm pretty sure other people would think it was just good. We're holding a candle next to a bunch of piles of shit. Like, it's gonna stand out.
I like how you said it so gently so that the mic wouldn't pick it up.
I mean, but being serious.
You're not wrong.
Being open. If you compare something to shit, or to something a little bit better than shit, it's still going to be better than shit.
Good for fertilizer, not good for a lot of other things.
And no offense to the cast of the new movies, because like I said,
they worked hard. They did what they were paid to do.
But like I said, The Force Awakens was okay. The Last Jedi, I didn't like it.
It was pretty okay.
Rise of Skywalker was utter garbage, and
it was.
You put them all together, and you don't have a good trilogy at all.
Rogue One was a lot of fan service, but it wasn't anything super great.
But I didn't mind the actors, and like I said, I don't think we needed an Andor story.
Solo was all right, but again, nothing special.
I liked everything except for Social Justice Droid. I don't feel like it needed to be in there.
Well, and really how he got his name was pretty cringy too.
So they should bring back Mace Windu into The Mandalorian. Oh.
Here's the thing, though.
I really have this thing about wanting to bring back Mace. He should probably just stay dead.
The fan service part of it, it's like, okay, look, we're going to have this planet. We're going to have this character. We're going to have this lore. Aren't you excited? It's what they do with those things that matters to me, more than just having those things.
Really unpopular opinion about that.
It's like Star Trek. It's like the last season of Enterprise, they threw in so much fan service. But it was in service of a series that had just run itself into the ground, of a franchise that had run itself into the ground. And I know that there's been much more stuff since then, but it wasn't enough just to have more stuff that we wanted to see. It had to be part of something substance.
Where did all this hype over Mace Windu come from?
Because Samuel Jackson
is
an actor that people like.
Convey sarcasm. But no, for real. You know how many times I've heard people wanting to bring back Sam Jackson? Sam Jackson's in the 80s, 90s.
That doesn't matter. They can de-age him.
And then at this point, hold on. And at this point, he's died. He died.
There's no such thing as death in Star Wars.
No, he's dead.
No one's ever really gone.
He's dead.
If you can be cut in half and fall down a pit and come back 30 years later and still be in charge of a criminal organization and still be a Jedi or Sith or whatever, then anything's possible.
See, but that endless pit for Maul could have been something at the bottom there. It's not like
Mace Windu. I thought you died. I don't think so.
He fell into he fell from super high up.
You know who else fell into traffic?
Into falling traffic while getting
Obi-Wan fell into traffic.
Not while getting electrocuted with his hand cut off into open traffic.
He was electrocuted for a few seconds.
Not doing it.
He's alive.
Maul should have been dead too. Yeah, okay. I'll even give it to you. I'll give it to you on that one. Yeah, he should have been. But,
I'm just saying, if they want him to be alive, he can be alive.
Yeah, I know, and I really think that
I didn't think they should have brought Darth Maul back. I don't think they should have brought Boba Fett back.
But
that's what I think.
Something that Lucas was going to do in the first place.
Well, he says that. I don't believe him. I think he just said that after the fans were like, "Oh, you killed him off in a stupid way." Oh, I always meant to keep him alive. I don't know what to believe anymore out of his mouth. I'll be honest with you.
But yeah, anyway, so.
TheRantCast.
I think they really should. Electrocution, no big deal, but cut in half, okay. Like I said, I'm giving it to you.
Oh well, if he was stabbed through the chest, for sure, because everyone can survive that, right?
I'm giving it to you. Anyway,
if it made the show good, and then bringing him back is a good idea. If it doesn't, then don't do it.
Like seriously, then there's literally no Star Wars character that's officially died.
He can come back. What if he came back as a Force ghost?
Get out of here! Get out!
This is our final episode of the Rantcast.
Whoa, hold up! Stab in the chest. Well, hi, Polsky. You came at right at the right time.
Polsky.
So,
we're getting spicy in the Rantcast. Well, my point is, it's writer's fiat. You can do anything you want. Sky's the limit.
No character can die in Star Wars at this point.
Now, it's true. There is plausibility. But see, it's kind of like comic books. You can just make a total BS decision that makes no sense at all. If your excuse is good enough, though, and it's a good story, it can be forgiven.
Anyway.
Well, what should they do? Carry on, sir. Carry on. You've got the scoop. I don't. I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, it's so funny. Really, no.
I'm just here to derail.
I'm really just kind of now just skimming to see if they have anything as far as like what the Mandalorian season 3 could be dealing with.
Yeah.
It looks like they're just kind of tying up stuff from season 2. Oh, okay.
Sorry to interrupt one more time, but the Book of Boba Fett, was it a complete story or did it kind of?
Yeah, it was about Boba Fett until it wasn't.
Oh, you did say that. So.
And then it was about the Mandalorian.
Okay, so we're continuing that story.
That's the only way I can put it without
sure.
putting it in like a lot of.
Okay,
so there's a big issue here that isn't being touched on. Okay, so Polsky, I'll bring it up.
Welcome to the party, Polsky.
Tyler brought up the fact that he wanted Mace Windu to come back, and sarcastically, I believe, and
But there's people that say it seriously.
I face palmed a little bit and said, "Look, he doesn't have to come back. There would be some Star Wars characters that just stay dead." And then, we got into a little bit of a debacle, and I said, "Hey, look." He fell into open traffic in Coruscant while being electrocuted and had his hand cut off. And Umber was like, well, Darth Maul got cut in half. And I was like, okay, fine. She said, okay, fine.
It's true.
The way the Jedi and the Sith work, the Jedi are fine with their fate for the most part. The Sith will literally fuel themselves. Yeah, well...
You could say, why are there all these Jedi still alive? Wasn't it just supposed to be a couple of them? But we keep bringing them back.
I get it. I get that. I can kind of agree with that because you have like KOTOR 2. You have your antagonist for that, and half the characters in that are fueled. Most of the dark side characters in there are fueled by pain and suffering, literally. And, but I don't know. Like, I feel like that it takes a certain special kind of Sith to, like, you literally have to destroy your humanity completely to be that deliberate. And I guess Maul was that kind of Sith, I suppose.
Guy had a real problem.
Yeah, guy had a real problem. Did I have unfinished business too? They keep coming back as ghosts. Yeah, they do haunt the shit out of you sometimes, don't they?
Mm-hmm. But see, I mean, that's an area where, on the one hand, you could develop that lore a lot, but on the other hand, you might come up with an idea that the audience just hates. So,
but anyways,
it's risky.
So we can get to the chronology.
Yeah, that's what we really came for. I'm excited for that.
So, Mando Bo-Katan's claim for the Darksaber appears to be the top of the list. Din inadvertently claimed the Mandalore weapon as his own by defeating Moff Gideon in combat. So, this is kind of like what was going on through the end of Season 2. So, there's going to be probably a point in time in Season 3 where either Din and Bo-Katan have to fight. Because, Darksaber and whatnot. Or Din gets the Darksaber taken from him. somehow, magically, and it's no longer his.
I remember the Darksaber was just a novel about the Death Star being rebuilt.
Yeah.
But there was in fan circles, there was always like, oh man, let's make a mod where it's like a negative lightsaber that's like black.
There seemed to be a
Instead of
plot
white.
hole stemming from the Clone Wars.
Now it's canon.
Where Sabine Wren literally hands over the Darksaber to Bo-Katan without any issues. But the Book of Boba Fett cleared that up, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett, so
Yeah, I don't remember any.
I burned myself out on The Mandalorian because I binged the last, I don't know, several episodes, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have spaced it out. I think it's better to watch a TV show like one or two episodes a week.
Yeah.
But grumpy old man here.
Yeah, so it looks like they're just kind of recapping, but yeah, it looks like they are going to maybe tie up some loose ends in season 3, along with like getting to see Mandalore maybe, and that'd be kind of cool. Anyway,
I'll let you watch it and tell me what you think, and then I'll decide if I want to see.
Watch it with me, and we can do a rant cast on it.
Oh man, it's going to be work, isn't it? But what if it's good?
Well, what if it's good?
And if it's bad, we can just have fun ranting about it. And if it's good, we can have fun ranting about it. Yes, I see your point. I see your point.
All right. So now it's time for Papa Strange Bus's reading corner.
Yep. So all the Disney fanboys have left the room. I'm kidding.
Now let's hear. I'm going to take you back to a time when the wars was ruled by nothing other than a man who was fueled by dreams and special editions.
Yep. He liked to work on his car, and he liked his sound system and his ranch.
THX.
Yep. Industrial Light and Magic.
So tonight we're going to begin with the formation of the Republic. And this is the essential chronology. So
Can you hold it up?
This is pre-Disney. Yeah, so I mean, I guess I can showcase pictures if need be.
Get your copy today on place
eBay.
where you buy books. Yeah,
that's right.
Your local library.
I lost this book in the flood 5 years ago.
Oh man, but you got it back.
Mm-hmm. So,
and all this material is taken from books, comics, games.
This is everything approved by Lucas.
Okay, so not everything with the Star Wars logo on it, but everything approved.
Everything with Star Wars. Well, yeah, because it's the
canon.
It's the chronology of Star Wars.
In order. Canon in
yes.
order.
How far ahead does it go? So I'm going to let you know right now. So this takes place everywhere from the formation of the Republic, so the pre-Republic era, circa 100,000 to 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin.
That's how they designate time in this
all the way to
fictional universe.
The New Jedi Order, which takes place 36 years with the last chapter, which is the Killick expansion, 36 years after the Battle of Yavin.
Now,
probably sometime around the Rise of Skywalker. I
don't mean to interrupt, but this is like in the order they happened as opposed to when they were released. Because wasn't the New Jedi Order?
Yeah, this is all in order.
Those novels came out like in the late 90s, right before Episode 1, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, because I didn't read those. I had kind of stopped at that time with Expanded Universe, but
so
apparently they were really popular with fans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
we'll read I'm going to read the introduction to students of history first, because I think this is pretty important.
Oh, sweet. So it's like in universe, this is a history text.
No legacy comics then? I mean, this is all considered legacy. It's everything in between. This is everything, guys.
The old Marvel comics before Dark Horse, are they in here?
So they should be. like everything,
sweet.
guys.
Sweet.
So you've got the Ancient Republic, the Fall of the Republic. You go to the beginning of the end, the Clone Wars. Hold on. The beginning of the Empire. This is everything between. I believe this book came out in 2005.
Okay.
I got it in 2006. So if there's
interesting.
anything released between 2006 and 2012, probably didn't show up in this book.
Well, that raises a question for me. Is that so? Since this is made around the time that Episode 3 came out, is this revising the chronology to include the prequels?
Vector Prime is in this book. Like the Uzan Vong Wars and a lot of the New Jedi Order. And
So this is harmonizing the 6 movies with the expanded universe, right?
Yeah, you got everything in here.
Nice.
We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
We're getting there.
So
I'm the little kid that's like, and you're like, no. We're getting to that.
We'll start with because I think this is kind of important, if I remember right. So history survives only if it is recorded. This was true when Palpatine's empire purged thousands of years of records from the galactic archives. It is even more important today. In the wake of the Uzan Vong invasion that saw the destruction of the Great Library of Obersky, more than ever, it is vital that historians assemble a formal account for future generations. Fortunately, new data caches have been uncovered since the HoloNet release of the first edition of this chronicle. Holes have been plugged and gaps filled in its untold information on the Clone Wars, the extermination of the Jedi, and the nature of the Ancient Republic has come to light. Often, we have interviewed surviving eyewitnesses to history to gain a personal perspective on galactic events. And of course, the recent events of the Uzan Vong War and its aftermath have been recorded while the wounds are still fresh. The resulting chronicle covers more than 30 millennia of history, from the Rakatan Infinite Empire to the rise of the Jedi Knights, from the Sith War to the Clone Wars, from the death of the Republic to the birth of the new Jedi Order. In this, the 36th year since the destruction of the first Death Star that marks our calendar's 0 point, it is even more apparent that we study the rich and glorious tradition of our past and also remember the many dark mistakes we must learn from them both.
Nice. So kind of an in-universe justification for why things might not be complete or might be a little different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Elvira. If this was 100, that was 140 years after Yavin, then no, it's not going to be in here.
Yeah. There was those other stories. But yeah, a lot of this is going to be new to me because, yeah, the expanded universe stuff that I remember, I think right before the new Jedi Order, I stopped except for the games. So I missed a lot of that stuff. And some of the comics, the collections I read, but yeah, I never tried to like put it in order because it wasn't written in order. It wasn't available in order.
I looked at Vector Prime, was published in 99. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but this is our first chapter, so you're going to be looking at the Rakatan Empire.
It's in 4K, so they could just zoom in, right?
Yeah, it's in 4K.
Kidding. It's actually 8K. Just kidding. Again.
So this is pre-Republic. So we'll read this and see where we're at.
It's Star Wars History of the Sword.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is different now.
You're going to hear me read horribly because I read horribly. Okay, so pre-Republic era, circa 100,000 to 25,000 before the Battle of Yavin. Before its transformation into the Empire, the Old Republic stood for 25,000 years. Its citizens liked to entertain the illusion that theirs was the only such civilization that ever existed. But archaeologists have confirmed that this is certainly not true. Few details of the great powers of the pre-Republic era have survived, but what is known about the rise and fall of these societies provides us with the object lesson that no culture lives forever. One of the earliest and most potent cultures can be identified only by the colossal objects left behind. At some point, that cannot be positively identified. These mysterious architects created the Carillion star system, tracking its 5 planets into place around the star Corel, using the repulsor lift engine center point station.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
The architects may have also been responsible for the Maw, an unlikely cluster of black holes located near Kessel, and are believed to have frightened the advanced Sharu people of the Rafa system into adopting a forced culture of primitivism. The architects populated the planets of the Carillion system with Drals and Solonians, as well as humans, an ambitious species believed to have originated on the core world of Coruscant. Coruscant's humans may have come into dominance on their homeworld by defeating a near-human gray-skinned species known as the Tongs in several series of legendary battles. The humans who compromised the 13 nations of the battalions of Zell suffered an almost extinction-level defeat when a sudden volcanic eruption smothered their encampment. The towering plume of black ash loomed over the Tongue army for 2 years, and the Odd Tongues took the name Warriors of the Shadow, or in the ancient tongue, Da Werda Verda. The battalions of Zell recovered and claimed Coruscant for their own. While the Tongues may have become the Mandalorians, judging from what we have learned concerning similarities between the Mandalorian language and the surviving Tong text. In the galactic core, the big-brained Colony species achieved interstellar spaceflight approximately 100,000 years ago and surveyed the primitive people of Coruscant and Duro before returning to a sheltered life on their homeworld of Colmus. In the Outer Rim, the Gree civilization flourished, creating strange marvels of alien technology that have never been duplicated. The Gree reached their apex during the same era as the Colmy, but modern Gree have been reduced to mere caretakers of decaying wonders. In opposition to the Gree Empire, the reptilian Qua constructed infinity gates, which allowed them to teleport between worlds. Unknown factors led to the decline of the Qua, and their descendants eventually became the simple-minded Qui lizards of Dathomir.
Yeah.
Approximately 30,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, a species known as the Rakata achieved the highest extent of their own expansion. The Rakatan Infinite Empire stretched between worlds as far removed as Dantooine and Honolulu, but numbered few planets in total. The Rakatans used the Force to power much of their technology and employed starship engines that allowed them to tunnel through hyperspace and reach other planets with Force-strong signatures. Some of the artifacts that the Rakata left on the worlds they visited triggered strange after effects, such as the stimulation and rampant plant and animal growth on Kashyyyk.
You know what this makes me think of? Like, you're about to sit down and do a GM for Star Wars RPG, and you're just like reading this like come up with ideas.
Find it super fascinating because it's like really picking up like an old book from like a library, like on Coruscant or something, and you're just reading through
The story.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this is.
And yet it's like as they drop certain names, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that was in a novel, or there was a character that was supposed to be connected to that planet.
Is the mic you're using directional? Does it have different directional options? I thought it did. We tried doing a sound test, and for some reason, I don't know.
I just know that every time I said "Rantcast," it came out really well.
Yeah.
You know, I was just wondering. I know you're reading, but would it help if I monitored the chat while you read, or
it might?
I mean, we don't have a super big group tonight, which is fine, but we don't want to miss anybody either.
No, the big thing here is I am coming off echoey, aren't I, Polsky? And he's not. I was thinking it was his beard at first because it's like.
Yeah, see, if you get a beard like mine, you get that sound dampening technology, which is.
It's like 30% louder than the bus. Hold on, it might be directional. Give me a second. Because I have it in podcast mode, though, so it should be coming from both ends. But let me try.
Yeah. Thanks for the feedback, guys.
I always thought somebody would say something. Is this any better?
Yeah.
Like, I know I still sound echoey, but... Unidirectional. I don't know what that is.
All direct.
Well, yeah, I know what it means, but I don't know what setting that is. Is that better?
I don't have one of these at home, so I couldn't tell you. I've got a headset. Do you want to?
Both. Okay, testing. We're testing.
Testing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
Boom.
0, 0. Victor 7, 3, 7.
Hey, King! Yeah! Welcome.
King?
Yeah, King Duart's in chat. I haven't seen him in forever.
Welcome to the TheRantCast.
Yeah, welcome. We're kind of in reading mode now. But yes, if you'd like to switch.
Well, I'm just thinking if you're going to be going back and forth.
King, we're doing some reading of the Star Wars chronology right now, so...
Something I try to do better on my streams is monitor the chat, because, yeah, you're trying to do the content here.
Yeah, if you want to switch, yeah, we can definitely do that. Switch seats.
You have some
seat switching.
Changing music. All right.
You're live still.
We are live on the TheRantCast.
Okay.
Now I'm going to be the quiet one. That's okay.
Okay, so...
Alive. Well, welcome. Good to be alive. On the TheRantCast.
Glad to have you with us.
Welcome.
All right.
Comfortable?
All comfy. Ready to go.
It's Chelbro, Elviler, Comrade Polsky.
That's it. That's all we got.
Yep. That's all we need.
All right. Here we go.
But if other people show up, we'll need you to.
Yeah. All right. The Rakatans eventually became arrogant in their power. They forced entire populations of conquered worlds into slavery, including the Duros, the humans of Coruscant, and the tri-species mix of the Corellian system. Soon they had built a monument to their glory, the Starforge, a living satellite that could build anything its creators desired using raw stellar material. The Starforge fed off the aggression of its Rakata builders, amplifying the dark side in the vicinity of Rakata Prime and setting the species up for tragedy. 3 primary factors led to the implosion of the Infinite Empire, which occurred approximately 25,200 years before the Battle of Yavin. A plague that affected only the Rakata spread to every corner of the kingdom, killing billions. The slaves, suddenly presented with an ideal opportunity, rose up and broke the Rakatan hold on the colonies. Finally, an apparent mutation of the plague virus stripped the surviving Rakatans of the ability to use the Force. Rakata Prime fell into civil war, then devolved into barbarism as its inhabitants forgot how to operate their technology. In orbit overhead, the mighty Starforge sat empty. No longer held under the yoke of the Rakatans, progress on Coruscant continued apace. The planet had birthed billions of humans, but so far its citizens had been unsuccessful in their bid to reach the stars. Limited to a single world, they dried up their planet's resources through generations of overuse. By the time the first sleeper ships came into use, impenetrable industry had choked every land mass and wreathed the planet into smoke and steam. Aboard sleeper ships, Coruscant colonists spread to neighboring worlds such as Alaskan, Metalos, and Aksum. On Alderaan, another group of settlers discovered the empty spires of a vanished insectoid species, the Kellics, but nevertheless claimed the world for their own. Improvements in hyperspatial theory led...
He said the sound's much better.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Improvements in hyperspatial theory led to the development of hyperspace cannons. Starships launched into hyperspace by a cannon then could induce a drag element and drop back into real space, but needed a second hyperspace cannon to return to their origin point. A cannon network was developed to link the core worlds with the spacefaring Duros civilization. Their experience with the Rakata had one positive effect on the people of the core. Scientists on Corellia and Duro launched independent investigations into the Rakatan hyperdrive. If they could duplicate the technology, the core would no longer consist of stagnant outposts separated by distance and expanse. First, however, the galaxy had to contend with Zim. Out in the rim area now known as the Tion Cluster, a new power had arisen over the centuries. Composed of alien cast-offs and the human descendants of the ancient Core Worlds colony ship, their hyperdrives fused bits of Rakatan technology with fixed-position hyperspace beacons, allowing for travel within a defined area, but presenting potentially fatal dangers if they ventured outside the Lighthouse network. The Tianese, who had not yet discovered the length of the Perlimian superhighway hyperlane, remained isolated from the core worlds, but occasionally ran up against the sprawling borders of the young Hutt Empire.
Okay, so we got our first wisecrack. Hyperspace cannon, that sounds almost as crazy as ramming a ship into another hyperspace. I said, ouch. So when it was so much better, but I'm biased about that. Well, I'm glad that you're reading this because, I didn't buy a lot of these books, and I haven't read all the books that they're referencing, although I recognize a lot of the references. But I spent a lot of time on JediKnight.net talking on the forums, Lucas forums, about this stuff. And people talked about the hyperspace aliens. I'm like, what the hell is that? But what you were describing at the beginning, it's like, oh, okay, that's what they were talking about. And some of these early civilizations and these wars and stuff, it's like, oh, okay, it's making sense. But yeah, they're stringing all these different stories together. So if you haven't read those, you've got this idea.
Yeah, and it's
canon.
This is probably the tough part, is because it's the birth and development of most of the civilizations in the expanded universe. So if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about,
well, and can I just want to say one thing, and maybe this will be a future rant cast because there are things coming on the horizon. Lord of the Rings. We won't get into that here, but in Lord of the Rings, there is something called the Silmarillion, which all fans are familiar with, where it's this very dry, like, backstory of all of Middle-earth. And yet, that was, like, not really intended for publication. It was just the background to the story he was writing in Lord of the Rings. In this, they're actually taking all those stories and they're compressing the history together.
Yeah.
So maybe you've never read those novels, but like I'm getting like little snippets of, oh yeah, I remember there was a comic that kind of talked about that.
Like you just found out why Coruscant is like Coruscant.
Yeah.
Because
it may not be important in the grand scheme of things.
Like humans do, we dried up every ounce of resources that we had. And that's the way it is.
I'm the Lorax. I speak for the trees. It's different franchise.
Okay. So, Zim, the Pirate Prince, greatly expanded Tion space. By raiding planets and enlisting governors to manage the new territory, Zim's father, himself a bloodthirsty raider, had carved out a corner of the Tion into a kingdom of Kron. During the Kronese sweeps a generation before, Zim soon came to be known as the Despot. He plundered...
Zim the Despot. Yeah, this is Han Solo Adventures, right?
No, this is still thousands of years.
No. I, like, as you're reading, I just want to jump up and go, oh, I remember that was mentioned in the Han Solo Adventures.
Oh, probably mentioned.
And Sharu was mentioned in Lando Calrissian. But do they have footnotes in there, or is it's just paragraphs?
Nope, it's just the paragraphs.
See, how cool would it be if that was Wikipedia, it'd be like, there'd be a little link and it would say, like, Tales of the Jedi Episode 5 or something. But, yeah, they're gathering all that history together and probably ignoring some things that contradicted it at the time. But, sorry, one last thing I was going to mention. So, headcanon. So, when you hear the term headcanon, what do you think of? Like when someone says, I have headcanon.
Like it's just the story that's in your head?
Yeah. So, like, maybe there's 9 Star Wars movies and you only have, like, 3 of them. So, in your headcanon, only those 3 movies exist and different stuff happened than the one that they put out. I just take it as you use what you like. So with this history, like, it doesn't have to, like, you don't see the Han Solo Adventures, the Lando Calrissian Adventures, Tales of the Jedi. You just see these background events.
It might be. We're at the beginning of Star Wars civilization.
Laying the foundations.
Yeah.
The history. It's like, this is the galaxy that they're in. The surrounding galaxy.
We have yet to reach. We are a long way away from the Galactic Civil War.
What was the world that they were in? That all this stuff happened. But, like, if we were playing the RPG, like, you could easily just use this. Or you wouldn't have to. You could just, like, make up something completely different.
All right. So before losing my place.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he's doing a dramatic reading.
So he plundered uncountable treasures from his father's holdings and housed them in a voluminous facility on Dalalt. In the 25th year of Zim's rule, the Hutt Empire demolished one of his fleets at Vontor in the Sea-Clata cluster. 2 more battles followed, but by that point, the Hutts had forged the Treaty of Vontor, which bound the Clatuinians, Vondrans, and Nikto to them as permanent slaves. In the Third Battle of Vontor, the Hutt allied conscripts vanquished Zim's war droids. Cossack the Hutt declared victory, and Zim died in shame as a prisoner in Cossack's dungeon. The Tion cluster split into competing states. The Republic begins, circa 25,000 before the Battle of Yavin. At approximately 25 millennia before the current era, Corellian scientists succeeded in perfecting the Rakatan hyperdrive by implementing technology-based workarounds for force-attuned components. Starships could now travel among Corellia, Coruscant, Alderaan, and Duro in only a few days. The worlds of the core linked themselves in a democratic union called the Galactic Republic, then tested their newfound freedom by exploring the uncharted expanses of hyperspace. The discovery of the Perlimian trade route linked Coruscant with distant Ossus, and the Jedi became the Republic's guardians. Little is known of the genesis of the Jedi, the study of the Force, and the science behind the microscopic midichlorians that act as symbiotic force carriers in most living things. Had previously been practiced by the paladins of the Chados Academy, the followers of Palawa, and the mystic order of Dai Bendu. On planets as diverse as Abaddon, well, these are some crazy planets,
Oh, I remember Abaddon.
and Ondos. The specific tenets of the Jedi Order, however, are believed to have been set down on the dawn world of Tython, where many Force users harnessed a positive energy called the Ashla. Those who hungered to wield the Force for personal power dragged the planet into exhausting conflict known as the Force Wars. From the ashes of this conflict, the Force users of Tython established the Jedi as a society of monastic warriors who obeyed the precepts of harmony, knowledge, serenity, and peace. Traditions of the Tython Jedi included a Jedi Forge initiation ceremony in which hopeful members of the Order channeled Force energy into metal-bladed swords, honing the weapons into a supernatural degree of sharpness and strength. In time, the Jedi at Tython would face threats from beyond their world. Using advanced off-world technology, the Jedi Forges would be able to freeze a laser beam, resulting in a weapon that would eventually become the lightsaber. Taking it upon themselves to liberate other worlds from oppression, a proactive faction of Tython Jedi decided to go out into the galaxy. These warriors became known as the Jedi Knights. In time, a school of Jedi philosophy took root on the planet Ossus. The Force came to be understood according to the dark side and light side alignments, both reflecting aspects of the living Force and the unifying Force. The Jedi faced their first true test since the Force Wars, when the followers of the Force's dark side formed the legions of the Latau and made war against the Young Order. How are we doing so far?
Great.
Great.
We're doing great.
Are we doing great?
So, Jacer J is here. Hey.
Oh, nice. Welcome, Jacer.
So we're doing the Star Wars chronology, and I'm playing a little game with myself. I'm trying to think of, because you're much more well versed in the expanding universe than I am, Strange Plus. Like, I'm trying to pick out stuff that I remember and throw it into the chat. And if anybody else wants to do that too, feel free. I know a lot of the early history comes from the Tales of the Jedi comics, right? It doesn't
some of it does.
KOTOR.
Yeah. A lot of this gets pulled from KOTOR as well. Yeah.
Knights of the Old Republic.
All right.
You want to take a quick look at the screen? Does everything look good here?
For what?
Just like your setup.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you can see prominently in the background we've got the Star Wars RPG books. I got a great deal on those, so putting my vintage books next to your vintage books, pretty cool.
And then
we should play some games over the stream sometime.
We should probably. What time is it? So I can do a stopping point.
Yeah,
we still got some hanging out to do tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do this for about maybe 7 more minutes, and then we're gonna cut it off.
Get close to the midnight hour.
That'll give me probably some time to finish the chapter. Maybe should be good. All right.
But where can people find this book?
Dude, I don't know. If you have your local bookstore, check and see if it's in the used books, or you can check it out on eBay. It wasn't that expensive on eBay. It was like $25.
I want to say I read an earlier book called this. I think it was called the Star Wars Timeline. It might not have even been called. No, it was the Guide to the Star Wars Universe. So this is a different type of book. It's doing the same thing. It's called the Star Wars Essential Chronology.
Yeah, and if you want to get even more, in fact, I've got the Star Wars Complete vehicles collection set all the way up to 2009.
I have the Essential Guide to Weapons.
Yeah, so
I only got that because of Jedi Outcast and Cat.
all right. So continuing from the Legions of Latau, the Jedi emerged victorious. Zendor, a general of the Latau legions, lost his life to the Jedi, but his lover, Arden Lin, fell into a mystic sleep, not to be broken until the time of the Empire.
Arden Lin from PlayStation game Masters of Terrace.
Yep. The war between the Jedi and the Legions of Latau marked the first of many great schisms between the light and dark sides of the Force. Soon, scouts had blazed a portion of the Corellian Run hyperlane, and the wedge defined by the Corellian Run and the Perlimian trade route became known as the Slice. Since hyperspace, particularly the stretch to the galactic west of Coruscant, was anomaly-riddled and impassable to Republic technology, galactic expansion radiated eastward to fill into the Slice's pie wedge. The core world's tip of the Slice was dubbed the Arrowhead, and soon colony ships had uncovered habitable worlds further out, establishing the colony's region. Ossus and other outposts were considered wild space, and the vast majority of the galaxy bore the label Unknown Regions. Duro established settlements on Nemodia and elsewhere, while the Jedi conferred with the gentle people of Kamos over the proper use of power. While the Republic percolated in the core and colonies, Ossus became a fortress world, standing as a bulwark against the crumbling Tion and Hutt space, and preventing the Perlimian from becoming an invasion corridor. With its enemies at bay, the Republic grew for a millennium. Faster than Coruscant would have desired, mostly due to independent states that petitioned for membership with an effort to protect themselves from the Hutts. So we're getting closer. Getting closer to like meat and potatoes
Quick question.
of the Old Republic.
So I kind of remember there was a series called the Corellian Trilogy. Did that cover a lot of the stuff about the hyperspace aliens?
Maybe it's been very, very long time since I've covered anything like pre-Republic era.
But the Star Forge was definitely KOTOR.
Yes.
It's the Old Republic. So those two games.
Yep.
Cool.
Star Forge was definitely KOTOR, and the Rakatans were the same.
Polsky says that he needs to find his old copy of that. I think he's talking about Masters of Terrace.
I have that copy. It's somewhere in
A
here.
friend of mine had it. I played it in college. I mean, I remember a lot of people saying, "Oh, that game sucked." And I mean, I played it. It wasn't anything special, but I mean, it was okay. Here's a Star Wars Virtua Fighter.
Oh no, it's in the other one.
Mara Jade was in it. Darth Vader plays a stormtrooper.
It had some fun points to it, but
Star Wars fighting game.
yeah,
That was before they were. There was a period of time where it seemed like LucasArts was like, let's take every genre of game and make a Star Wars version. We'll have a Star Wars racing game. It's like it's gonna be a Star Wars basketball game. I'd still buy it.
okay.
For
So, do we want to continue or are we stopping? Because we are almost at 24,000 to 7,000 before the Battle of Yavin. So we're getting close.
This could be a regular thing, though. I mean, you've got the book. Right?
Yeah, could be a regular thing. Depends on whether or not people actually want to hear it daily or if they want to just hear it during the Rantcast.
I think the Rantcast value is something like, why did I buy those Star Wars RPGs? Is it because I'm a super RPG gamer? I think for me, it was more like I've expressed my disappointment with some of the things Disney has done. A lot of the things Disney has done. We've talked about that. And so I'm like, I've missed a lot of the expanded universe. I want to go back and see, well, what did I miss? Was that stuff better? You know, put my money where my mouth is. You know, find the parts of Star Wars that are good and give my time to those. I mean, maybe they won't get paid for them, but I want to see what the lore was like before they changed it. So us reading this is kind of like diving back into that too.
I also have on order, by the way, because I also have to inspect them to see if they're good. I have 2 big box copies of KOTOR and KOTOR 2 coming. So, because I'm replacing my broken copies that got damaged, and once again, the flood of 2017. So,
yeah, that sucks. But I mean, it's still out there, so you get to enjoy it again, revisit it, appreciate it.
I mean, I have them on Steam, but my big box copies are, once again, physical media.
Physical media, yeah. It may be hard to get. Maybe the company doesn't have any interest in supporting it anymore, but you can get it, share it around. I've heard that there's I was checking this out on a podcast. It was like Secrets of Star Wars, and there was some like freeware game that had like a Star Wars module in it. I forget what it was called, but there's other Star Wars games out there. There's a miniatures game. There's the RPGs. But we talked about headcanon. I mean, you can take anything you want, put it into these games. So since there's so many different chronologies, yeah, you can take the official one, or you can just make it up. Like, I imagine myself playing the RPG, like the old one. And yeah, when you get to a certain region of space, you're just like, what planet is there? The planet I just made up.
The planet I just made up.
Yeah. But maybe somebody else is playing and they're like, nope, that's
Switch
this.
receipts.
That's the Starforge. That's Nemoidia. Those coordinates.
All right.
And maybe the planet's been completely blown away, destroyed by the Empire. It's like, you can destroy the whole planet, take 1,000 ships more firepower than I've ever seen. But it's plausible. If you want Mace Windu to be back, guess what? He's back.
I had my wrapped copy of X-Men Alliance for the longest time. I unwrapped it this year.
Hey, I've got a boxed copy of
The jewel cases are still wrapped, but the big box isn't.
Yeah, that's back when PC games had the big boxes because they were afraid you were going to steal it. Like, you couldn't shove it into your pants, sneak out.
But yeah, so as far as it goes now, that'll probably be it for the rant cast tonight. But I do want to appreciate everybody who stayed to listen to the reading. Like,
see, we yelled at you, we scared you, we made you angry.
I'm a horrible reader.
And then we read you a gentle goodnight story. So now you can rest easy. Well, the thing about reading is, like, yeah, it's what you make of it. You know, you practice, you do dramatic readings.
Well, it's one that text is so small, and like it cuts off the sentences at the wrong time. I don't know if the print was not very well when they did that, but like it'll cut off the sentences like to move it down to the next line mid-word. So I can't like tell when there's going to be a comma or like a and it like throws me off.
It's probably not meant to be read aloud.
Yeah, I'm running my sentences together sometimes, and it's just...
Well, if it makes you feel any better, like on my stream, like I took the rule book for HeroQuest and I read it. It's like, who the heck wants to hear that? But I was curious because, like, when I read stuff out loud, like I'll hear stuff that my mind just skips over as I'm reading it.
Did you fall asleep, Elvira?
Everybody, wake him up! Cheer with bits.
Yeah.
Play the.
Oh man! Now I got keyboard marks on my face.
Yeah, keyboard face.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you very much.
Well, see, I found that there's an actual Bob Ross painting Twitch channel, and so like people just put that on and like fall asleep to it. So hey, whatever you get out of our rantcast, thanks for the support.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, guys.
I'm not dissing your reading at all, but it is an art, and yeah, you never know.
Just the fact that I'm doing this with 3 people in chat is surprising to me. But
hey, maybe you're interested in it. You want to dive in and see what's in there. I think if it inspires you to do something, like maybe you just want to, I just want to know the history of Star Wars, or I'm doing a game and I want to get some ideas.
You wait till we get to like Revan. We're getting close to Revan. We have to get past Bane, Exar Kun, and Eula Keldroma, and then I think Revan will come along. and it'll actually talk about the KOTOR character a little bit. And it'll say, I think if I remember right, it'll say, depending on what the character chose, like or something like that.
Yeah.
It was,
He either turned to the dark side or he
yeah, it was something like that. I can't remember. But,
some historians say,
Yeah.
while other conflicting sources say.
but then they, I think they bring up KOTOR too. I can't remember.